the police he's about to tell the jury are looking at it all wrong.
The forensics in the case could very well set Chris McGowan free. That person who killed Christa Worthington was white. They had footprints that were unidentified, they had palm prints that were unidentified, and they had unknown male DNA from 3 individuals under her fingernails.
Jerks, how you doing tonight? A couple minutes late, hoping the guest shows up tonight. Advertised, I thought it was a done deal. I wanted to talk about the Christa Worthington trial. It's specifically Christopher McGowan with an attorney, Robert George, I had reached out to recently. And it was right before Eddie O'Brien came on the JFK show. And I had mentioned talking to this attorney that I wanted to talk to him about this Christopher McGowan case where he represented Christopher McGowan for the murder of Christa Worthington. And when we talked, and in my email, I mentioned about Eddie O'Brien because JFK was covering it. And I basically said, I want you to also go on this other show. And, after you do that, I would like to discuss Eddie O'Brien because that's not I haven't covered that at all. I didn't want to step on JFK's shoes at all. But I wanted to make sure to give them props and, kind of tell him about JFK and make sure that he would go on their show. Because I love what they're doing with the Eddie O'Brien case. I've been watching it. So unfortunately, I didn't know that there was going to be an issue. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have mentioned Eddie O'Brien at all. Because I think it scared off this attorney, Bob George, tonight. He sent me a message today. And I'm just going to, I hope he doesn't get mad that I'm reading the message. But he said, I am sorry, but I will be unable to appear on your program to discuss the O'Brien matter in any manner, which is totally fine with me because that's not what I wanted him to discuss tonight. I wanted him to discuss Christa Worthington. He continued, I have heard from his post-conviction counsel who have asked that I get a release from Mr. O'Brien before doing so, which would be impossible at this stage. And he says, I hope this does not put you in a bind. So that was this afternoon. I got back to him and I said, I actually didn't want to talk about Eddie O'Brien until you go on the JFK show. So that's fine. Like, come on and talk about Christa Worthington because that's the case I'm actually covering. I did my previous show. I didn't mention Eddie O'Brien, except maybe I said go watch it on JFK show. But my last show was about Christa Worthington, So that's what I was hoping to discuss tonight with him. I sent him several messages back. Haven't heard from him. So, yeah, it's clear in the thumbnail too. Exactly. That's how it was promoted. Wasn't promoted Eddie O'Brien. I mentioned Eddie O'Brien in the email to him because I wanted him to go on the JFK show. And I was basically hyping up JFK and saying, look, these guys are street guys. They're really smart. They're really good at this. You got to also, I would suggest going on their show. And after that, we can cover Eddie O'Brien too. Because I don't obviously want, I'm not trying to scoop JFK on his topic. Like he's already well into this. But, it was funny for me because the Christa Worthington thing came up 11 years ago when I covered it. And then the other night when I had Robbie Roadsteamer on, he referenced some old videos I did, and he actually linked a video to my old channel that we did together. And it actually brought up after I watched that video, it brought up the Christa Worthington. And I said, holy shit. And I started looking into it because it's been 11 years. And I saw some new things. I figured, wow, this would be a good time to look into this. And back then, I think Bob George was in trouble when we were covering it, so he couldn't come on the show. So now I reached out. I was like, this guy got his law license back. Maybe he'll come on the show. I talked to him on the phone. We emailed. It seemed like he was good to go. He was like, any night at 6 p.m. I'm down. Yeah, I'm gonna say he's not gonna come on the JFK show. If he won't come on here and he talk about the one that's not controversial for him, I don't think he's gonna. We'll see. What I'm gonna do though, because I know people want to see Bob George. I have video. I found a bunch of video. Now this is the best video. This is from Kevin, who passed away. The uncle of Sean Mulvey, who's a witness. He posted a bunch of video. And it's very helpful. Kevin has passed away since, but we got 45 minutes from the SJC appeal with Bob George. Try to get Chris McGowan out of jail. This is not the best video, but the audio is good. And it's funny because I looked for this. I was like, the SJC has all their videos online. I should be able to find it, but they don't. They only have like the last 5 years. They don't have going back this far. So I haven't been able to find it. If anyone has the actual clean video of the SJC appeal or any parole hearings, let me know. But we're going to play one tonight. This is a 45-minute clip. We also have a 5-minute clip I want to play. This is the first one that I want to play. This is Bob George with Jeremy Frazier on the stand asking about this Mass State Police phone. This is a key witness. This is very similar to me to the Karen Reed trial where they're talking about butt dials. You know, instead of butt dials, it was the Boston police officer type defense. I don't know. I don't. They didn't say I misremembered, but on this one it was. I don't know. I don't know why you're saying I called the Mass State Police. I don't know why there's a record of it. We're gonna watch this. This is a key witness in this Christa Worthington case, who had drug dealing issues, and since then has been arrested for child rape. But the charges did get dismissed. But this is Jeremy Frazier. I'm gonna put it up so you're gonna get an idea. Even though Bob George isn't here, we're going to get a look at Bob George. And I thought Bob George, when I saw this defense, he lost his defense with Chris McGowan. But I thought he did a good job. I don't know all the details on everything. We're looking at pulling court records and things like that. But his questioning, I thought it was pretty strong. I thought he did a good job kind of damaging these witnesses. So let's put this up.
Into the 5th of January, you called that pager 25 or 26 times. Do you remember calling the pager that many times that day, or don't you have any memory of those 2 days?
I don't recall calling the pager that many times.
Did you used to call that pager all the time?
When I couldn't find it, yes.
Now, this phone number here, the one that reads 394-3410. You see that? An incoming call?
Yes.
Now, the police talked to you about these phone calls when they came to talk to you on September 29, 2005, right? They asked you about all of these phone calls, didn't they?
That's correct.
And you were telling them the truth when you talked with them that day, right? About your phone calls.
Yes.
And you were telling them the truth about your memory of those phone calls, right?
Yes.
Now, why don't you tell the jury now, if you could, sir, in his honor, who's this calling you at 12:03 a.m.?
I don't recognize the number.
I'd like to show you your report from September 29, 2005. I'm coming up behind you now. You can take it. You see all of the phone numbers that the police went over with you on that day? You see them all?
Yes.
Now, those are the phone numbers that the police went over with you that day, right?
Correct.
And do you remember that meeting?
Somewhat, yes.
And that was the meeting where you turned over your clothes and you were asked to watch the video as well, right?
Yes.
And can you show me where in that report you were asked about that phone call, that 394-3410 phone call?
Hey, Jeff. Yeah. Well,
I could ask it a different way, Your Honor.
if you wish to confirm, yes.
Do you have any memory today as you stand in the witness stand, of being asked about that phone number on September 29, 2005?
No.
Now, as you read that report to yourself,
Yep.
did you discuss at any time with the police that phone number on your cell phone?
I don't remember.
Now, before I ask you the next question, you told us earlier that you've been arrested 3 or 4 times, but you've never been prosecuted?
As I can relate, yes.
Right? That's what you told us. 5. Can you tell us what that conversation was about?
I didn't talk to nobody from the state police on that phone.
It's your phone record, isn't it? Right here on the screen? It's your phone record, right?
Yes,
Right?
I didn't talk to no state police before this.
And this is the state police phone record, exhibit number 70. You see that, right?
Yes.
Now, it says that you received a phone call from someone at the state police barracks here in South Yarmouth at 12:03 in the night. You don't remember where you were. You see that, don't you?
Yes.
You saying all the papers wrong?
I didn't talk to no state police before this. No.
Well, now that you've seen it.
Yes,
now that
I've
you've
seen
seen it. Where did you get that call from at 12:03 a.m.?
I don't know.
Who called you from the state police barracks?
Nobody.
Okay, you told me you didn't talk to a state policeman, but you got a call from the state police barracks because that's what the exhibit showed. So, where did you receive a phone call if you remember?
I didn't receive no phone call from no police officer on my phone at that time.
Now,
It says that on the record, but I didn't receive no phone call. I didn't talk to no state police officer at that time.
well, you see the connection between the phone calls, right? You saw that the phone call went through, right?
Yep.
Was anyone else carrying your cell phone at that time?
I don't remember.
You told us a few minutes ago that you were making phone calls to young ladies at that point, right?
Yes.
You told us that you don't remember where you were at 12:03 because you were so drunk that you don't remember where you were, right? Right?
No.
So if you don't remember where you were, can you remember who you were receiving phone calls from?
I love that. I didn't hear from any state police. No state. He doesn't sound truthful at all. Actually, I want to know what you think. Do you think this witness, Jeremy Frazier, comes off as truthful or credible in this? Yes or no? If you think he's not truthful, give me a 1. If you think he's being truthful, give me a 2 in the chat. Not truthful.
So you don't have any idea who called you from the state police barracks, do you?
Oh, one.
Nobody called me from state police.
Now, why don't we go back to your record? You could just look at it yourself. Can you show me where on this page there's anywhere that you dialed the state police barracks so that they would call you back? Just on that page.
No.
You didn't call them, right?
No, I didn't.
The only thing that shows you calling is your pager, right? Or something you call your pager.
That's my pick. Yep.
Do you used to call people back in those days who carried pagers? Did you used to call people who carried pagers?
I don't remember.
You don't?
No.
You used to call state police troopers who wore pagers?
No.
You see the pager there that says 978? Are you positive that's your pager?
That's my pager, yes.
And you told the police that when they talked with you?
That's my
You
pager.
didn't say that? Did you tell them it was your pager?
Yes.
Or did you just tell them it was a pager?
No, it's my pager.
But you didn't tell them anything about this incoming call, did you?
No.
Why wasn't that taken up at your meeting? Why didn't you talk about that with the police when they were showing your phone records?
Because we were going down the list and I didn't recognize that phone number.
I'm asking you today, sir, do you have any memory whatsoever of talking to a state police trooper
No, I did not
on the
talk to
evening
those.
that you're supposedly killing Christa Worthington?
No, I did not talk to state police officers. On
And
this
once
record.
again, sir, we have your word on that?
On this record, that number, I didn't talk to them, no.
Okay. But we have your word, you didn't talk to him,
No.
even though the records show that you did.
Well,
Yeah, I gotta say too about Attorney George. I want to support him. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here. But honestly, if he's trying to convince people that he cares about possibly innocent people in jail that he represented, one being Chris McGowan, why the hell aren't you here, dude? Like, because that was what I heard from Eddie the other night. Eddie basically painted a narrative that this guy didn't give a shit. Not showing up tonight kind of plays into that narrative. And I don't know Eddie from Adam. I don't know, if Eddie's going to grind, we don't know. I think that's what I told him too, Bob George. I said, JFK is fair. Like, you should actually go on that if you can, because he will be fair with you. If there's, unless you're trying to hide truth, then don't go on JFK, right? But geez, not even getting back. I mean, he did get back to me, but then he didn't. It's like, so like, if you're trying to show that you care about your innocent clients, I would be on this show. I would be on this show tonight. And if not tonight, listen back, dude, and come on the show, because I'm not here to bury you. I want to help your client that I felt like got railroaded here. There's something off with this Christopher McGowan, Christa Worthington. So you should be here tonight. Like, I know he doesn't know me. He's probably thinking I'm trying to get him, on a gotcha. He's also, obviously had some other issues in the past with the money laundering. So I get it. I get he's got to be cautious. But I'm not going to get him in trouble. Tonight we're talking about Chris McGowan. We're talking about somebody who I feel like didn't get a fair shake. And I think from what I saw, it seemed like Bob George actually did do a pretty good defense for him. So that's all I want to talk about tonight. And I'm just kind of aggravated that he's not here, like everybody else. And I don't think it's helping him not showing up. Like, it's just not. Like, if you want to show a different narrative than what Eddie's, been speaking, I think showing up would have been good for you tonight. Just saying. So let's play. This is what we have for the Supreme Judicial Court, SJC. We do have some video. And again, this comes from Kevin's YouTube. This is Kevin Mulvey. He's the uncle of a witness, Sean Mulvey, who changed his story and was a witness in this trial. And Kevin thinks Sean had something to do with the whole thing. And Kevin has since passed away, but his YouTube channel still stands. It's the only documentation I could find of this SJC hearing from McGowan. The only video I can find. It's not perfect. It looks like he recorded it old-fashioned, maybe with a phone camera on a computer screen or something like that. But it's what we have, and we're going to play that tonight. You're going to get to see Bob George on the SJC appeal for Mr. McGowan. Let's play that too. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to step out and listen to it on my phone because I can hear it better. I'm not sure what's up with these headphones and microphones. It's just, I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue or it's my new equipment I bought, but the new equipment isn't that great. So I'm probably going to upgrade again. Be like my third time trying this shit. But yeah, like I said, the video is not the best, but just listen. This is all about the ear. So I'm gonna listen to it on my phone like everybody else and kind of just check out for a few minutes. I'll pop back in. But this is about 40 minutes, and it gives us more of an opportunity to listen to Bob George's defense, and this is the SJC appeal.
Good morning. Your Honor, I tried this case in the Superior Court back in 2006, and of course was involved in the appeal of this case, so I'm not going to go through the facts. I also submitted a very extensive appendix because the limitations of the brief itself, I could not set forth all of the different things I needed to set forth in some of the arguments, so I attached them as an appendix and then summarized those arguments in the brief. But I'd like to concentrate, although not highlight, I'd like to concentrate on 2 or 3 of those arguments for purposes of arguing before you today. This case, which resulted in a conviction in November 2006, basically rested, in my opinion, on 2 particular pieces of evidence. One was the DNA evidence in the case, which allegedly.
Okay, why was that so important when the defendant, at least as I understand it, and I haven't read the transcripts, he admitted to having sexual intercourse with the deceased?
Well, the reason it was important, Your Honor, Justice Cowan, is because the defendant would have never been interviewed in the first place had there not been the DNA match. In other words, when he was being interviewed by the police at the...
Yes, but your claim is that he lacked the ability to confront because it was under laws developed in Melendez-Diaz. Okay, but you don't have any right to confront during an investigation. The police can get their material from any informant, I mean, as you well know, or any dirty source that they want, and there's no right to confront. So the DNA and the problems with the lack of the the person who did the test testifying at trial doesn't come into play during the investigation.
Well, see, the point of the matter is, Your Honor, is that the DNA test that we're talking about, which is the buccal swab of the defendant, which was taken in March of 2004 at his probation interview, and I know you probably read that it was taken at his probation interview at the Barnstable District Court, that the police were waiting for him there when he got there, and that swab was taken.
But didn't at trial, at least I thought I read this, you didn't object to that particular swab. It was the swabs from the decedent, the victim, right?
No, Your Honor. I objected. In this particular case, I don't believe I had to object. In this case, the buccal swabs from the defendant were the ones that the expert, Christine Lamry, the DNA analyst who testified, had not tested.
Yes, no, I understand that. But I thought maybe it was in the Commonwealth's brief. I read that there was a sidebar.
Oh, I understand the sidebar you're talking about, Your Honor. At that point, there was no reason to object because the law at the time allowed the testimony to come in.
But so I'm saying, how did that harm you? Because he said he had consensual sex with her.
The reason it harmed me, Your Honor, the position I'm taking is that there would have been the only two pieces of evidence in this case that connected the defendant to the crime were his statement, which you're mentioning right now, and before that, of course, you're saying that the DNA swab, which led to the interrogation taking place in the first place, because it was the DNA test that was not performed by this analyst.
But the test hadn't been performed when they took the swab. What I'm saying is the whole confrontation issue doesn't come up until there's a trial, so the taking of the DNA swab from his mouth has nothing to do with the right of confrontation.
Just because it still is inadmissible. The testing itself is inadmissible at trial.
But
the jury would have never heard it.
By the time it comes to trial, it's moot if he has admitted that he's had consensual sex with her.
Well, the position of the defendant is that we would not have had to cross-examine, we would have not had to face the issue of even being connected to the body if the DNA swab hadn't come in. It was the matching of the buccal swab to the original testing that was the connection that took place in this case.
Now, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. Ms. Lumley, I gather, was the analyst who actually examined the DNA that was taken from the body.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then there was also a buccal swab DNA, which is a known exemplar taken from him.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that apparently was examined by another analyst.
That's right.
And then Ms. Lumley on the stand took, I guess, the analysis of the alleles from her analysis and the analysis of the alleles from the other person's analyst and said they match. Is that?
That's right, Judge.
Now, when she said that they matched, was there any objection by you at trial to the fact that she was saying that the alleles that she had analyzed matched the alleles that somebody else had analyzed?
There was no objection, Judge Gibbs, because at the time, Verdi was the controlling law.
But Verdi has always been limited to firearm examination and to cocaine to drug analysis. I don't think we've ever applied the Verdi principles in general to DNA analysis or more complex lab analysis, have we?
Well, my position is that I'm entitled to the defendant is entitled to the more favorable standard of review in determining this. I mean, at this point, I argued in my brief that under either standard, objection or not, that this is not a harmless admission of evidence in the case. When Melendez-Diaz came down, Melendez-Diaz, as I don't have to tell you, deals with lab reports. I argue that the DNA testing in this case is analogous to the type of testing that's dealt with in Melendez-Diaz.
Did the chemist, Ms. Lemire, is that the name?
Lemire.
Lemire. Did Ms. Lemire testify? Well, let me ask you this. What was the actual evidence that came in of the testing of the defendant's DNA?
Lemire testified that the buccal swabs taken from the defendant were tested by another.
Okay.
This all came out on cross-examination. And that the buccal swabs matched.
That's her opinion. That's her opinion.
That she actually was testifying as to facts, but in her opinion that they matched.
Right. So she can do that regardless of, I mean, that's, you can cross-examine her on her opinion. That's her opinion.
So our position is she was testifying to facts. She was putting in the results. She was putting in the results done by another, well, her name was Katrina Geiger, through another analyst, admitted it on cross-examination, and the fact is, Your Honor, I wouldn't have had to cross-examine in the first place if in fact the match was not testified to. And by the way, the testing that she did do, because the Commonwealth lays out in its brief that I was incorrect in saying that Lemire did not do the testing. She did not do the testing of the buccal swabs. She did the testing of the saliva found on the victim's body, as well as some seminal fluid found in the area of her vaginal area. That is what she testified to the match.
Right.
And the fact is, we argued that the DNA, the buccal swabs, should have only come in through Katrina Geiger, who, by the way, was not unavailable. She was not unavailable. She was just someone whose evidence was being put in through Christine Lemire. And by the way, the law changed. This court knows that the law changed after the McGowan case. Melendez-Diaz came down after that, and of course Vasquez has come down since. I did not object at the time because the law at the time.
But in both those cases, there were statutes which spoke of the admissibility. There's no statute that speaks of the admissibility of DNA testimony.
Well, in this particular case, Your Honor, this DNA test, these buccal swab results that came in through Katrina Geiger, I was through Lemire. When I cross-examined, when we went to sidebar, the sidebar that Justice Brock is talking about, we were not talking about chain of custody. We were not talking about issues as to whether it was McGowan's or not. We were talking about whether or not some stipulation that I don't believe was ever read into the record at any time. Some stipulation was being formulated as to whether or not the buccal swab was in fact taken from McGowan.
He's talking about DNA. Apparently there was saliva and semen found that matched his DNA. His story, Chris McGowan, he was her trash man. And it's documented, his story is that he went to her house one day and she asked him to pick up a Christmas tree. He went into the house because he had to see how big it was, whether he could take it. He called his boss. But she still had, the tinsel and the bulbs still on it, the lights, the Christmas lights. So he's like, when you take those off, let me know. My boss said I can take it. I can come back. And then they had a sexual encounter. And I believe this was the day before. And so, or maybe even a couple days. I need to look into that, find out exactly when that happened. But that's his claim, which is kind of suspicious. Like, you would think she might take a shower after that, right? Like, but the thing is, there were other things, like we said, in this case, that like Jeremy Frazier was wearing this blue and white sweater. Apparently she had blue and white fibers under her nails, and they lost his sweater until recently. So there's been kind of some funky stuff. Evidence misplaced and hidden. There were other men's DNA on her as well. So let's just keep watching this, though, because this is the first time I've seen this. I don't know where this is going to go. Let's keep watching it. And like I said, I'm just as disappointed as everybody else he's on here tonight. Like, I get that I feel like this guy's got some pressure on him because he just got reinstated. And, he's probably trying to play it safe. But playing it safe when your client's in jail, I don't know, man. I wonder, like, why, like, you should be here tonight. You should be here tonight. You could tell us a lot about what happened in this. And I don't know why he's not here. I think it's because of the Eddie O'Brien stuff. I should have never brought it up with him, but I didn't know that was going to be an issue. I had no idea, So, and I didn't want to talk about Eddie O'Brien because that's JFK's thing. I definitely want to start covering Eddie O'Brien, but I want to watch JFK interview everyone first. And probably when I do my first show on it, I'll just bring JFK on, kind of catch us up on it a little bit. I've been watching it like everyone else, but I was hoping to have Mr. George discuss Eddie O'Brien after he went on JFK's show. I wasn't going to bring that up tonight at all. And I let him know that, and he never responded to me. So, I don't know. If you're trying to disprove a narrative, probably not the best way to not show up tonight. Just saying.
By Lemire.
And she had every right to testify to that. That's not a Melendez-Diaz problem. I looked at these two things, I compared them, and they were matched.
Well, Justice Gordy, our position is that she was putting the results of Geiger in. It wasn't so much an opinion as she was putting in the results, because she was reading from Geiger's,
Sorry. I just went off and read the whole thing. I didn't know I wasn't on the screen. Fucking funny. I'm sorry. That was me. I'm not frozen. All right. Let me read. I am frustrated like everyone else tonight because I'm going to read it again. Yes, Robert George, I thought was coming on the show tonight. We promoted that way. We basically advertised that it was going to be a discussion about Chris McGowan, Christa Worthington. That was how we advertised it. I had no intent to talk about Eddie O'Brien. The only question I would have had for him about Eddie O'Brien is he's going to go on the JFK show. I had mentioned to him about Eddie O'Brien because it's getting coverage, and I realized he's also the same attorney, but I had reached out to him because I want to talk about Christa Worthington. I want to talk about his defense of Chris McGowan, and that was my intent tonight. He sent me a message earlier today. It said, I am sorry, but I will be unable to appear on your program to discuss the O'Brien matter in any manner. I've heard from his post-conviction counsel who have asked that I get a release from Mr. O'Brien before doing so, which would be impossible at this stage. I hope this does not put you in a bind. And I get why he probably can't talk about Eddie O'Brien right now, but that's not what I wanted to discuss today. And I responded to him several times. I called him. I texted him. I sent emails. And basically my message was the same every time. It was, I want to talk about Christopher McGowan. That's what we're covering tonight. I really don't have interest in Eddie O'Brien. and having you on the show to discuss that at this point, because I'd want you to go on JFK's show first, because JFK is the one who's breaking this open. He's the lead on it. When I cover Eddie O'Brien, it will be probably bring JFK on to discuss what he's uncovered already. And then maybe I'll follow up with some of the guests he's already had on the show. But I don't want to try to be scooping JFK, especially when I don't know as much as he does about Eddie O'Brien. So my whole thing when I talked to him about the Eddie O'Brien was do the JFK show. These guys will be fair to you. They'll give you a fair shake. They're not going to do a gotcha on you. But I think that's what he's worried about. And I know he doesn't know me, so he probably thought I was still going to bring it up tonight. But no, I was just going to cover Chris McGowan tonight. And I know that these lawyers need to be cautious, but somebody's in jail. Somebody's doing life in jail. And I want to talk about it. And nobody's holding you up from talking about Chris McGowan tonight. And if I ask you any uncomfortable questions about Eddie O'Brien, you could just you could say, I'm done. Interview over. I mean, that's right. And I understand he's probably overly cautious as well because he's had been reinstated as a lawyer. He had money laundering charges against him. So he's probably extra cautious, but I'm just kind of aggravated because I wanted to discuss this case tonight with him. And he no-showed. Which doesn't help considering what Eddie O'Brien's father said about him the other night. Because if you listen to what Eddie O'Brien said, and then you realize he doesn't show up tonight for Christopher McGowan.
From Geiger's results on the witness stand. Now, I'd like to move on because I don't have as much time as it's obviously a large brief. And it's
one other question that came in. People asked, is this guy, Bob George, friends with Michael Morrissey? I have no idea, but what I do know about Bob George is he was a former prosecutor. And where was he a prosecutor? In Norfolk County, under Delahunt, actually, who was basically Michael Morrissey's protege. I'm pretty sure Mr. Delahunt endorsed Michael Morrissey. So Bob George used to work for Delahunt in Norfolk County. That's what I find is wild. This guy's a former prosecutor and a defense attorney, and they sent an informant in on him on the money laundering, apparently. They set him up. It's not that he didn't do the crime. I think he definitely did do the money laundering. But think about that, because we know a lot of these criminal defense attorneys do stuff like that. They take funny money because they're representing criminals. And criminals only have funny money, right? So, and think of how few of them have ever got hemmed up on that. And they sent an informant on them. So I for me, looking at this, I was always like, I felt like, especially after I talked to Kevin Mulvey, because Kevin noted that not only did Bob George get in trouble, but they tried to go after the author of the book that I've just purchased. I got to actually go up the mailbox and see if it showed up today. Sometimes Amazon sticks in my mailbox. Sometimes it's at the door. They haven't delivered at the door. I'll check my Amazon account later. But I did order that book. And the author of that book, they hemmed him up on a gun charge. So I felt like the author of the book and this attorney, Bob George, did expose some police informant stuff with this defense. So I was hoping he might come on tonight and talk about that. But I think he's being too cautious. I do. And I don't think it's helping Bob George. I don't. And I'm not against Bob George. I want to give Bob George an opportunity to speak on this case.
We have a lot of different issues involved in the brief, but I just wanted to talk to you about the removal of the juror, Rachel Huffman.
Now, what's interesting here too in this McGowan, there were so many scandalous parts of this. It's going to be hard to wrap our hands around all of it, especially knowing that we don't this was so long ago. I don't think we have video from the trial. I have some of the old court documents, but there's some series we could try to review. We'll probably do some of that. There's an ex-boyfriend of hers we may get on the show, but the problem was we don't have all the clean video and audio of the entire trial. which kind of sucks. So that's why it would be really helpful if Bob George could come on tonight and talk about this. But one of the things that happened with this jury is that immediately after they found him guilty, some of the jurors came forward and claimed there was some racism going on. And it's basically they picked the big black man to pin it on. That's what it feels like on white Cape Cod. And so they're starting to discuss some of that about the jurors apparently in this SJC appeal.
At some point during deliberations, it was the fourth day of deliberations, there was an issue. And the reason I argue this is because I know Justice Cowan was on the panel that wrote the Gary case. And what happened is there was a situation.
I'm muted again. I keep doing that. I'm sorry. Man, I'm sorry. What I was going to say is on this one, come on, Bob, we don't bite mostly, especially me. I treat the guests pretty fairly. I'm not a gotcha journalist. He would have had a pretty safe space tonight to talk about this. It wouldn't have been, something that I'm trying to hem him up. This would have been like, let's talk about Chris McGowan. Let's talk about why he got convicted and why he shouldn't have been convicted. And let's talk about some of this funky evidence. And let's talk about they found the sweater all these years later. Let's talk about Sean Mulvey. Looks like he was arrested for larceny after his uncle claimed he was he did that stuff back 11 years ago. Like, there's a lot we could talk about. And it's disappointing because I would not have caused any problems for him tonight. And I understand he's going to be extra cautious because he just got reinstated at the bar. He's got Eddie O'Brien speaking out against him, Ed Sr. But that wouldn't have been a topic of discussion tonight. The only reason it's even a topic of discussion right now is because he didn't come here tonight. Like, right? So it's like, by not showing up, it's like, it's the opposite of what he probably wants. I don't get it. I want to thank LaFerio. She said, hey, Mike, thanks for discussing this case. Oh, thank you. Hopefully I don't mute myself again. Now that you're watching, I'm going to have to be better. I keep muting myself tonight. I'm sorry. I'm a little flustered. I wish the guest had shown up. I really do. Yeah, this is the thing, too. Like, Courtney says, I just don't see a way in which Chris is innocent, but I'm willing to hear all sides. I hear you on that. But at the same time, there is something funky with this case. And the DNA evidence is a big thing to overcome. And I think that's exactly why he was convicted. And I think that's why the SJC appeal didn't go through for him. But at the same time, if you look at the story and you look at these two other guys that we're talking about, it does seem fishy. Like, their stories changed. They lost the sweater. The state police were calling this guy, or he was calling them the night of the murder. A lot of funkiness with this case. And I've always thought it could have been a situation where Chris McGowan did have sex with her a day or two before. And these guys are out partying, right? All three of them were together that night. They're at the juice bar place. They're watching some hip hop, apparently. Open mic hip hop night, I believe it was. And so they're all partying, and then some of them go out to an after party. There's a lot of questions about who went where. But imagine, like, let's pretend Chris McGowan actually did have sex with Christa Worthington. Maybe the young guys, I mean, I was a young guy once. What do you do at 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. when you're young and you're drunk and you're out? You start calling your girls. You say, hey, I'm looking to hook. I want a booty call. Maybe Chris McGowan was looking to have a booty call. Maybe the guys came with him. Maybe they followed him there. Maybe Chris McGowan was having a booty call and these guys decided to start robbing her. There's lots of different ways this could have played out. That's all I'm saying. So I don't know either. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm saying there's a lot of funkiness here, and I want to start looking at it. And there's a lot of potential people who it could have been, you know, not just this guy. And there was other DNA. There was missing evidence that has recently surfaced. The most important evidence, the sweater of the one of the witnesses, the blue and white sweater. And the state police lying. Like there's something they're not being honest about. You can tell them. Watch
One of
this
the
too.
jurors, a juror's boyfriend was arrested. And without getting into the facts of it, because I understand the court will read the record and read the
We've read the briefs, so we know.
So what happened is there was a hearing conducted, a voir dire hearing. All the jurors were brought in, and after an extensive hearing, it took almost an hour and a half, the juror was returned to the jury.
And your complaint is that the next day there wasn't another hearing after the taped telephone call, but my question to you would be, the judge had already made up his mind that he wasn't going to believe her because she lacked credibility as far as he was concerned. So what would the purpose be of a second hearing?
Justice Cohen, you of all people understand that under Connor, because you were...
See, Chris McGowan did have a relationship with Christa Worthington. He was her trash man. And he has a story that he went to pick up a Christmas tree from her. She brought him into the house to look at the Christmas tree because he wanted to determine if it could fit in his truck. His boss said it was fine, but she still had all the Christmas lights on it. So he basically said, I'll come back at another time, but then she touched him, and they ended up having some sex, apparently, is what he claims. So he definitely knew her.
Prosecutor in that office at the time, that under Commonwealth versus Connor, almost the same thing happened. What happened was a judge conducted a hearing, talked to other jurors, and I believe it was Justice Donahue at the time, but I'm not sure, that after a hearing, a juror was returned, a problem juror was returned to the jury deliberations. They reported a deadlock. And as the jurors continued to complain about this one juror, he brought the juror back in. It might have been the following day, it might have been 3 days later, because in Connor, they were complaining about that juror throughout the trial, as everybody knows. That juror was then removed, discharged in almost like the identical fashion that this juror was removed in this case. He was brought back in after being vetted, carefully vetted, where the other jurors were carefully vetted, returned, and then after a short argument, was removed without any further hearing. My argument is in this case that what was required, and I did object and did move for a mistrial as a result of it. The only argument that took place in this case on the second day, which is after the deadlock was reported, 2 or 3 hours after the deadlock. In fact, it was the day after the deadlock. A Tui Rodriguez charge had already been read to this jury. This juror that was removed was in a deadlocked jury. Was the phone call. Was the phone call from the jail from the boyfriend. And I rest on the record in this case because the contents of that call are innocuous. The juror is not accused at any time during that phone call of engaging in any misconduct.
What's the reference to court TV?
What happened was, Your Honors, on the day before, during the voir dire the day before, there had been some news coverage of the arrest of the boyfriend. And as a result of it, Court TV, who was covering the trial, picked up the fact that the arrest had come to be and that there were hearings taking place. The reference to Court TV was a passing reference to the fact that her parents had seen it, or family members had seen it on TV, that her name or that her involvement in it was on television. The trouble with that position of the court And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because on the day before, 4 jurors admitted to watching coverage of the trial and the arrest on TV. Because during the voir dire, 4 jurors admitted to it. The jury foreman
They
admitted
admitted to what?
They admitted
watching
to
coverage of the arrest, not the trial.
well, that's the same coverage that Huffman was referring to, the removed juror was referring to. And they were all returned to the jury the day before. Now, under Connor, the court is very clear. I understand it was 1984, but it was very clear that more is required to remove a juror, a deliberating juror, let alone one in a deadlock, than just bringing them in and discharging them, because nothing had changed in the day between. Now, was the court in a position to determine, as a result, the circumstances under which the call was made, the circumstances surrounding the receipt of the call? Because in this case, please be aware that the juror did not make the call. The juror received the call while court officers were making arrangements for a sequestered jury so people could get their things. Though invited in the call to discuss deliberations by the boyfriend, the juror didn't discuss deliberations, didn't discuss what was going on in the trial, and when she had been voir dire the day before, said she could be fair and impartial, and she was pretty closely examined by the court. There wasn't...
The Commonwealth said she lied to the judge when she minimized her involvement with Hicks, and she lied when she said she could remain fair and impartial.
And I invite, Justice Marshall, I invite you to read, we had a hearing on this. And actually, in fact, the tape itself, which is the only changed circumstance, the tape itself is marked as an exhibit.
It seems to me, and again, we haven't read the transcripts, that this juror, at least the judge, took the juror's statements at the initial hearing to mean that she was, he said she was separating from him. I didn't know whether he meant separation in a separation divorce sense or separation physical. But and he, the judge, believed that he was being misled as to the closeness of their relationship. And then, so that he no longer found her credible and wouldn't believe anything she said. So what is the point of a hearing if he no longer would believe what she testified?
Well, that's the point, Your Honor. The point is
but he's entitled to disbelieve any witness. And if he says, now she pulled the wool over my eyes, Jesse, he may be wrong. His findings may not be supported by the evidence, and that's what we've got to see. But if he says, I don't believe this witness, then what is the point of him bringing her in to testify? He won't believe it.
As you know, Judge Conner, under Tennyson and under Connor, you don't have to bring her in. I mean, I'm not saying that they had to bring in the juror. What I'm saying is that you have to conduct a hearing of some kind to determine the circumstances surrounding the discharge of a deliberating juror. I mean, Connor is very clear about the protocol of...
This reminds me again of the Karen Reed trial 1, remember? Where Bev wouldn't do it. It's the same thing again. This time the juries are alleged to have been racist about McGowan. And I saw someone in the chat tonight kind of doubting that Christa Worthington had sex with Chris McGowan. That seemed to be the prosecution's main thrust. This white woman's not having sex with the black garbage man. I don't know. Christa Worthington, she seemed like she enjoyed her men. And it didn't matter if they were a magician, a writer, what was it, a shellfishman? Like, she seemed to like the working class folks, you know? So I don't doubt that she might have had interest in this guy.
Followed. In Gary,
did the judge listen to the taped telephone call?
We all listened to the taped telephone call, and we disagreed on what it all meant or what was to be taken from it.
So how can he find out what it meant other than by asking her? And he's already made up his mind. He's not going to believe her.
Well, the circumstances under which the call was received and made. I mean, this end of the phone call, meaning the receipt end of the phone call, was something that took place in a jury setting with all kinds of witnesses. And another thing is that all the other jurors were present when the call was received. And in fact, I mean, what I'm saying is under Connor, the standards of conducting a hearing have been set forth very clearly. The judge relied on Gary. He found that there was a palpable conflict based upon the things that you just said, that she had minimized the depth of her relationship. in the tape recording, and you will see discussion of it, but it's also part of the record. In the tape recording, there was discussion about having raised a $3,000 legal fee for an attorney. That is the only discussion on the tape about whether or not there was a relationship. The judge found, as you've already said, and this is a deferential review as to the judge's right to find what he believes. I'm saying he was wrong. But in this particular case, that was the part about the relationship. He also found that she had lied about media coverage, that, you know, her exposure to media coverage. Well, that all occurred the day before. And all 4 jurors, including this particular deliberating juror, the removed juror, was returned to the jury pool. So, I mean, nothing had changed in between. So what I'm saying is that the procedural requirements which were set forth not only in Connor, but also talked about in Gary, did not take place, which leads us to the next issue regarding the jury.
Before you leave that issue, I'm a little bit confused. After you were in the judge's lobby and listening to the tape, which I gather was not on the record, whatever was said in the lobby was not in the record, is that correct?
No, what is said is in the open.
Believe this was in 2010 when this happened. There's no date on the video itself, but I pulled some court records just online from Justia U.S. Law, and they basically have a date on May 7th, 2010 to December 10th, 2010. So it looks like this is I don't know if it's the filings they're starting at or with the final hearing, but sometime in 2010 it looks like.
No, the lobby conference is not on the record.
It's not on the record. Then you went back to open court, and then did he give you a chance to be heard, to argue as to whether or not she should be removed?
Well, basically, anybody here who knows me knows that, in reading the record, knows that I argued against the removal of the juror, but when we came back out into court, the Commonwealth moved to remove her. I argued against removing her, and that was the hearing.
So what hearing are you saying should have been held? An evidentiary hearing in which Ms. Huffman was?
No, under Your Honor, under Connor, under Haywood, and under Gary and Tennyson, the standards for such a hearing are set forth pretty clearly. You have to have
specifically, what do you say was missing here? Because he did listen to a tape, but that's evidence, and he did give you a chance to be heard. So what did he not do?
The Commonwealth argues that had the juror been brought into, meaning the removed juror brought in, she has a right to take the Fifth Amendment. She has a right not to speak. But the other jurors should have been brought in for a voir dire. And I'm talking about a second voir dire, not the first voir dire, because the JV.
But if the
Well, what Judge Gantz has asked me, Judge Watford, is what type of hearing should be taking place. What you're doing is you're trying to ask.
But why bring in the other jurors if the issue is whether she lied to the judge the day before?
Because what she said on this end of the phone call, and I understand there's a tape recording, but the circumstances under which the call is received, the circumstances under her reaction upon receiving the call, the circumstances about what she said.
The judge is not going to believe it. He's already made that determination. In his head, he says, I don't find her credible. So it doesn't matter what she said.
But Judge Cowan, what I'm saying is he was wrong.
Oh, okay, all right.
We agree on that I say he's wrong.
So that's
But I try not to argue the judges that.
Okay, but what you're saying basically is this. If we examine the tape recording, we will not find sufficient evidence to support the finding that she lied.
Yes, and that's.
Or are you saying that he shouldn't have made up his mind without hearing from her again?
I'm saying that as well, but I want you to know, Judge Watford, that I also know that in the same cases that I'm citing to you in support of what I'm arguing, that they say that the juror doesn't have to be brought back. And I think it might be Gary that says that the juror does not have to be brought back to conduct another hearing, but that another hearing should be conducted in which the circumstances surrounding the event that's being considered that would lead to discharge is being fully fleshed out on the record before such a momentous act takes place. Which leads us into Huffman's, as we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes, about Huffman's incredibility. In this particular case, we had 4 days of post-trial hearings in which a woman named Roshina Bohana, we had 3 jurors talking about the actions of 3 other jurors. We're talking about 6 jurors involved in the evidence, in which all, according to the case law that I read and the case law we were operating under at the time and still are, is that under Laguerre and the other case authority on issue, that all you have to raise is that that what is alleged in the affidavits giving rise to the hearing in the first place are generally true by a preponderance of the evidence. In this case, we had 5 days of hearings in which jurors testified consistently with their affidavits, and I note in the Commonwealth's brief when they argue this, they don't mention that the main and first complaining juror, Roshina Bohanna, who everyone was, which actually brought the hearing into being in the first place, is not even discussed. I mean, in this case, we had affidavits filed, whether they were through draftsmanship or not. They were all done by the jurors. They all testified in a very unique and extraordinary, 4-day hearing. That you have the record in which they testified. They testified consistently with their affidavits and generally corroborated one another as to what events took place in the jury room. Our argument is that those satisfy the standards set forth in Laguerre for a new trial. And the reason I'm going faster now is I see the red light flashing.
Actually, that means your time is up.
I'd like to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. George.
I just didn't want to stop until you told me to.
Fine, that happens many times here. Good morning, Ms. Holler.
Good morning, Your Honor. May it please the Court, Julia Holler on behalf of the Commonwealth.
It would help me, Ms. Holler. I'm sure other people have other questions too. But there are 3 points brought up in Mr. George's reply brief that if you could explain these 3, it would help me a lot. The first is, what do you say about the fact that the defendant says, and I checked the transcript and he's accurate, that Dr. Niels, I wouldn't expect otherwise, but I did check the transcript, Dr. Niels testified to findings that were important at the time of death, as contained in Dr. Weiner's notes, and according to the defendant, that he relayed Dr. Weiner's findings to postulate a rape theory.
Yes, those two, and if you've read my brief, I do concede that there were a couple of points on direct, and one of them is the time of death, and the other is the rape. However, if you look at the cross-examination of Dr. Niels...
Yeah, I read that you said that that's important to the defense.
Right. The defense spends a great deal of time questioning Dr. Niels about Dr. Weiner's presence and what he saw at the crime scene, because he spends a lot of time discussing what were the factors of rigor. Did you see rigor? And then the question of how the presence of rigor relates to the time of death. And through Dr. Weiner's notes about what he saw at the crime scene, the defendant uses this to try and get Dr. Niels to say that the time of death is actually later than when the defendant's statement says that he had sex with the victim and the night the victim was killed. So it's very integral to the defendant's cross-examination and his case as to time of death. He takes what was essentially just related by Dr. Niels and expounds upon this.
Okay, what about the suggestions of a rape?
Again, it's the same situation. He spends, and I can give you it's transcript pages 1269 through 1270, talks about, there's a handwritten note by Weiner's, the only thing that can be considered a sign of sexual trauma. It's an indication there's a small amount of blood in the victim's vagina at the scene. Then the defense counsel goes on to say that there were some streaks of blood across the lower chest or abdomen, but it's possible that the child put those there. Then counsel also in cross brings out that Weiner's report does not mention any tearing, bruising, contusions of the vaginal area, or any trauma to the genitalia. That's 1271 to 1272. And then counsel brings out that there is no...
But that isn't helpful to the defense. That just seems that he's trying to get back at what you put in on direct.
No, he's trying to use it to show that there were no signs. Dr. Weiner found no signs of a forced...
No, but that's, as Justice Kahn suggests, that's because there's testimony, evidence that it was a rape.
It's not... I lost my train of thought, sorry. Okay, there's the only thing that is mentioned on direct is, and this is the page 1231, Weiner's handwritten notes describe a small amount of blood in the vagina, and then it's depicted on the diagram, and that's the only mention. It's not linked with any evidence of sexual trauma or any
But does then Dr. Niels opine that there was a rape based on that?
I don't believe he does. Defense counsel...
Okay, is there any connection between the fact that there was a small amount of blood in the vagina and that is in any way an indication of forcible sexual
I
intercourse?
don't believe there is, no. I have to look back. But defense counsel takes that and extrapolates it the other way to show that there was no forceful rape and discuss it, and even gets, and Dr. Niels even says that you, at one point, I guess during redirect, says you don't often find that there is signs of forcible. That comes in on redirect. That may be where you're seeing that, Your Honor.
Okay, and then my last question is that the defense argues that the information about that other man, Fraser, that there was information in your office about his arrest for A and B DW in a night, whereas your brief, as I recall, states that all this information was in another district attorney's office, not in your office.
Not in another district attorney's office. This was there's no indication. It was a case that was dismissed by our office back in 2002 because the two alleged victims did not appear. And at that point, it was dismissed. My point on that also, Your Honor, is that counsel claims that this is newly discovered and things that were withheld, but if you look at the sidebar, and give me one moment. At page 2124 through 2127, it's during the cross-examination of Jeremy Fraser, and defense counsel starts to try and get into the charges that Fraser was arrested for. There's a sidebar and the Commonwealth's objection. It's clear from the context that the defense counsel has Jeremy Fraser's record in his hand, and that he is saying, I'm not going to get into the facts of the arrests. He says, I'm using this to show that these charges...
Why is it clear that he has the records in his hand?
Because you can, from the context of the sidebar, defense counsel says, he's aware of the arrest. I'm not going to get into the context of the arrest. He says, I'm not going to get into the facts of the arrests.
So?
He says, I just want to be able to take these arrests and show that they were all dismissed. It shows that counsel was aware. He's claiming that this was newly discovered. He didn't have access to this, and that we had...
So you're saying because he knew that there was an arrest and he knew it had been dismissed?
He knew it. There was an arrest and a dismissed. He knew where to find it. It was not anything that was withheld by the Commonwealth. It was part of his defense.
Wait a minute. They're two different things. Was it produced by the Commonwealth?
The records?
Yes.
No.
But if he's got them, that's quite irrelevant.
If he had the Corey, which leads him to say there was an arrest for an assault with a dangerous weapon, apparently. I'm not sure, but it's on there. It says that it was dismissed. Now, he's got this sheet, but his point, and when you read it, he's now taken another tact on appeal. It was not to show that this was a prior bad act or a similar conduct. That was not the intent. The intent was to attempt to show that Jeremy Fraser had these charges and that for some reason they all kept getting dismissed.
Oh, this is interesting because Kevin Mulvey, when he came on my show, said that Sean, his nephew, was known for larcenies. And it looks like pretty recently Sean Mulvey got arrested for larceny with violence. In a $50,000 bond in Florida. I don't know what happened to that case. I sent a FOIA request on it. Haven't heard back, of course. But he apparently had some charges more recently. And his uncle was the one that noted that that's what Sean does. He steals stuff. He even stole stuff from the family, he said, right? And here's Jeremy Fraser apparently was charged with a knife. And the only reason he didn't face any conviction, apparently, is the witnesses decided not to show up. And Sean Mulvey's father was a fireman, the fire chief, excuse me. He was the fire chief of Eastham. I can't say that. Eastham. He was the fire chief of Eastham. Eastham. Sorry. But it's just wild that these two guys had a history of this stuff. If you look at the rap sheets compared to Chris McGowan compared to these other two guys, yeah, I know Eastham. He was the fire chief in Eastham. Eastham. Jeez, it's just strange that and this prosecutor or whoever's represented the state here, she's basically saying, well, that wasn't showing that he had any motive or he had any background to this. The defense was just using this to show that this guy's cases kept getting squashed. That this guy was probably a police informant. But all of these guys seem like they were police informants. Chris McGowan actually tried to be a police informant. And they weren't interested. But Jeremy and Sean seem like they had a lot of cases that nothing happened with. And that was part of the defense here.
And that therefore he was somehow the darling of the prosecution or the...
And Sean Mulvey also apparently has a tattoo that shows a devil stabbing a woman in the chest. His uncle pointed that out. His uncle Kevin pointed that out. And there are some, looks like some pictures on some videos that Kevin posted. So we don't actually have the JPEG of the tattoo, but I think we do have it on his old videos.
Kept getting him out of trouble. That was the whole tack taken by the defense. It was not ever going to be used to show that there was some sort of an incident. It doesn't come through from this sidebar that it was ever going to be used to show an incident of a similar fact as related. And the judge in his findings finds that the incidents were not using even if you use the newly discovered evidence, the judge in his findings finds that they were not similarly related, that pulling a small pocket knife is certainly not the same as stabbing a woman through the chest so hard that it goes through the chest and comes out the back during a breaking and entering and a rape.
And my last question is, what do you say about the judge's findings or lack thereof as to the witness Roshina Bahana?
When you read the judge's findings, Roshina Bahana's testimony is woven throughout. And her testimony is talked about throughout the whole facts. When you read the testimony of the Juror Cahill incident, which is in the record at 218, the judge's findings, it talks a great deal about Bohanna's affidavit, talking about linking. Juror Cahill was the one who said that the defendant was staring at her and she was upset by that. And the judge specifically makes a finding that Bohanna links the two of the fear and the defendant's race, but then that was in the affidavit, but then when Bohanna testifies, she doesn't make that link, so the judge says, well, I find her credible at the hearing rather than than in her affidavit. Then also, if you go to the Juror George incident, which is when this big black man beats on a small white woman, that whole episode, again, Juror Bohanna's is linked inside that, and at page, even at 222, 221 through 222, the judge relates his findings, that's in the record, as to the reactions of Bohanna and the fact that she and Juror Cahill were swearing at each other, and that it broke up, and then that one of them might have apologized, and that they were then talking to each other and were civil again. Bohanna's testimony and her findings are woven throughout all of these incidents. The judge does not discard them. He does not ignore them. He puts them in the context of the other incidents. He puts all of them within the context of each of the incidents. He specifically deals with when you read it, he explains why he doesn't accept the affidavits. He accepts Juror Bohanna, and he uses her testimony. The judge writes why he does not accept.
Well, he doesn't say he doesn't accept the affidavits. What he's really saying is, to the extent that there's inconsistency.
It's not an acceptance.
I mean, he never says
no.
They lied.
No, that's a poor choice of word. I apologize for that.
It seemed to me he was very careful.
Yes.
And I think that he was saying, you know, these were drafted by a lawyer, and I don't think the lawyer was being, I forget the word that he used, I can't find it, but, you know, the lawyer was not misleading. It's just somebody summarizing him what the judge was doing.
It's not our claim that this is certainly not our claim that these were somehow engineered.
No, it's
not
just
at all.
He was teasing out. He was teasing out, and he was what he was really doing was trying to figure out exactly who said what.
Right.
That's what he was trying to do.
He gives his reasons when he says that I don't find this part of one of the affidavits credible. He takes the time to explain out why he doesn't find that credible, and that's why he does not specifically list Juror Bohanna, because he says that yes, in the context of the way her affidavit is phrased, it does come in, but it's woven throughout all of the other instances.
During jury selection, was there any request, or did the judge speak to the jury about racial bias? Was there any statement that...
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that was addressed during voir dire?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was very specific.
Absolutely. And it was certainly a situation where you had the need for an individual voir dire as well, because of the interracial nature of the case. There were even questions. The judge invited questions, and among the three, they came up with questions to ask each juror involving race, involving whether a juror would believe that confessions can be false, things like that.
What do you mean among the three? Oh, the judge
and
the
two
lawyers.
The two lawyers, yes.
And the Commonwealth moved to strike Bohanna, correct?
The Commonwealth moved to strike Gomes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Not
Gomes. I'm
not
sorry.
Bohanna. Moved to strike Gomes because of the fact that he had had a prior criminal episode.
I'm sorry.
Right. Not Juror Bohanna.
Going back to Frazier, there was some reference, I thought, in the briefs to Frazier testifying at trial that he had no criminal record. Did he say that at trial?
No, he doesn't say that at trial. What happens is the defense attorney asks him if he's ever been prosecuted, and Frazier says no, and then immediately says, what does prosecuted mean? And when you read Frazier's testimony, he's very upfront when he says, yes, I've been arrested, yes, I've had these problems. It's more a question of he didn't know what prosecuted meant when he said no. If you look at, that's at page 2133. He says, the defendant hasn't, he says, I haven't been prosecuted. What does prosecuted mean? And then he says, I don't know how many times I've been arrested. He's been arrested. He says, I've been arrested 3 or 4 times. Some of the charges were dropped, and he didn't really know his record. And that's at, I think, pages 21.
This video is from an SJC appeal. The reason we have it is because the uncle of a witness, his name was Kevin. Kevin has passed away. He had recorded this and posted it on his YouTube channel. And Kevin suspected his nephew, Sean, that he had something to do with this. And Sean gave him a lot of really suspicious statements. So that's why Kevin went so hard on this. And Kevin, that's the only reason we have this video is because of Kevin, who's no longer here. He's passed away. So I feel like I'm taking this up for Kevin right now. Kevin was a guest on our show 11 years ago.
22 through 21, 24.
Okay, so even if the defense counsel didn't have Frazier's record in hand, he had Frazier's testimony at trial saying I've been arrested 3 or 4 times, I don't know how many, and some of the charges have been dropped, i.e. dismissed or something.
Right. So it was, and again, it was not being used for the purposes of a prior bad acts, or not a prior bad acts, but a similar crime, so he could have done it in the other extent. And Frazier, I think that at that same sidebar, the prosecutor remarks that we're certainly not dealing with a learned hand here as a witness. And that actually is said in the transcript that this guy is just not, the brightest person that you might encounter in your day-to-day life.
The information about the restraining orders,
Yes.
That comes in because there's a question by Mr. George of the arresting officer as to why he arrested, and that is viewed as having opened the door to allowing in the other evidence about...
When you read the context of how that comes in, defense counsel, during the cross-examination of the trooper, which was voluminous, this was the major trooper, basically leaves the jury with the impression that the only reason why the defendant was arrested was because he lied to them when he said he had no contact. And then they now have this DNA report that says that it's his DNA on the victim.
Why isn't that enough? I mean, why do you need,
Well, it leaves the jury with the impression, in hindsight perhaps, it could be enough, but there were other things. And that that was not the only reason why he was arrested. It's a distortion of the trooper's testimony. Then on redirect,
because there were warrants out?
no warrants, no.
Well, then, you mean he got arrested because in the past
He had prior convictions. He had prior convictions, not convictions, but restraining orders against
That would be a
four other
reason
women.
to arrest him?
No, that was part of the reason as to why they made, in the arrest warrant, the reasons that they put in the arrest warrant. The defendant leaves during cross-examination with the impression that the only reason why the defendant was arrested is because he lied to the trooper. That's the way the defendant comes out on cross-examination. Now, that's not why he was arrested. The arrest warrant has the DNA, and also has the evidence that he had a history of violence against women.
But, I mean, to me, that is so prejudicial.
Well, it was part of, it was open the doors, part of it. It was not offered to prove that he was a bad person. It was proof to the other extent. And the judge gives an extremely precise and strong limiting instruction at the end of it. And actually, it is at pages 2082 and 2083, and the judge's instruction is at 2083 and 2084. He gives a very, very strong limiting instruction on that it cannot be used in such a thing.
Were the temporary restraining orders against one person or against several people?
There were 5 restraining orders against 5 different women.
With whom are these people with whom he lived, or?
I don't believe it comes out in the record. It just says that there had been, and there was just part of it was the evidence of those restraining orders.
And was that argued in closing?
I don't believe it was, Your Honor.
And do you think that was a proper balancing of the risk of prejudice versus probative value?
Certainly, when it was the defense attorney who leaves the jury with the misimpression that the police, which was all part of he's a black garbage man, this is why he was arrested, which is the whole theme of the defense from opening argument.
But you said one of the other reasons, which seems to me to be pretty strong, is that they have the DNA evidence.
Right. But they had it was part of it. They had the DNA, they had it, and this was just another part of it. But the way the cross-examination comes out, when you read that cross-examination, the cross-examination comes out, you've got this, it doesn't talk about the DNA, it just says he was arrested because he lied to the trooper when on 2 previous occasions.
No, what I'm saying to you is that if you need to meet that problem, the arrest warrant, as you've described it to us, has as a reason for the arrest, in addition to the lying, the fact that the DNA matched what was found in the victim's body.
Right. But this was not, it's the Commonwealth's position that this was not something that was excludable. Perhaps in looking at it, you look at it, but it was clearly not admissible for prior bad acts, and it was clearly used to get rid of this misimpression, and the judge strongly argued that. And it doesn't appear that I don't believe it was mentioned in closing. The closings are both very long and not in my mind, but I can say with some confidence I don't believe it was mentioned in closing. And just to wrap up one point, if I may, because I'm almost out of time, I see that is, as far as the Lemire, as to the DNA testimony, the defendant's failure to object is certainly not just an acquiescence. As he may say, Crawford had come out by this point. By the time this trial, we had Crawford. If you look at that sidebar, which is at 2522 through 2524, the prosecutor, they go to sidebar and he says, we're getting into chain of custody. I thought there was a stipulation. Defense counsel says that it's an attack on the integrity of how items were kept. It's not a chain of custody and this is of the defendant's sample, the defendant's DNA samples only, as to whether they were properly processed, and that, yes, this is the defendant's DNA sample. And at the end of this sidebar, the judge says, if you have an agreement, then you're not going to be able to go into whether this is the defendant's or somebody else's DNA. And defense counsel says that he has no trouble, and and I have that in quotes, so I believe that is an actual quote, he has no trouble stipulating that the buccal swab Lemire is testifying to is the defendant's. So it's not a question of whether or not we needed this other person to come in and testify. The defendant stipulates, this is my DNA.
Right, but his argument is not that it was not his DNA. His argument is as to whether or not the allele analysis was correct.
Which was done by the DNA analyst who testified. That was done by
No, I thought that I thought all she did was compare the alleles that she did with the alleles that were found as a result of the other analyst's analysis.
No.
She compared paper.
She did all of the evidentiary standards. She did all of the submitted samples except for the defendants. This other analyst tested the defendant's sample and made this profile of the defendant. And then it was Lemire who did the comparisons.
But
he's using the defendant's sample, which the defendant has stipulated that these are mine. That's what the defendant says.
He stipulated that the DNA was his. He hasn't necessarily stipulated that the analysis of the alleles was accurate.
Well, the analysis, I believe, was done by Lemire, not by this. I guess I'm getting
comparing about. It's one thing to say I can take two. I mean, again, I can take two analysts and say it's A here, it's A here, it's B here, it's B here. That can be done, but the question is whether it was A, B, what the analysis was. That was done by somebody else.
The question of what the defendant's A's and B's and C's were was done by another one. Then Lemire took that, and the defendant is saying, I'm not disputing that this is the defendant's DNA profile. That's what he says. I'm not disputing that.
But isn't that rendered harmless anyway by the fact that the defense was that, yes, this is my DNA. I had consensual sex with her. I'm not surprised that my DNA was found on her body.
Right. I mean, you're right, but it's just in addressing these issues in this argument. Right. It is kind of rendered moot by it. And if there are no further questions, I will submit on my brief.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that's probably it. Yeah, looks like it's over. All right. That is it. You know what I'm going to do right now? Let's try to call Sean Mulvey. I've never called him before. Let's see what Sean has to say. If Sean picks up. I just heard from Bob. That's so funny. Bob is now saying he's in the car. He's headed home. It sounds like Bob might do our show. We'll see. I just got a message from him, Attorney George. We'll see. Let me just call. I'm going to call this guy Mulvey. I want to see if he picks up. All right. Number's been disconnected. Let's see if we can try another one. If we have any other numbers for him. Try this one. I have another one. Hold on. I got another number.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 7274329. Available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hi, Sean. This is Mike Crawford. I'm a journalist. I am calling about the Christa Worthington trial of Chris McGowan. I was hoping I could speak to you. I'm at 978-502-4080. I have some questions about your testimony. Would love to hear from you. 978-502-4080. Thank you so much, Sean.
Check one.
What do you think? You think he's going to return my call? What do you think? Yeah, voicemail. Hopefully that number didn't go over the air. I try to hold the phone away. I tried to turn it down. Please tell me you didn't hear that phone number, even though it's publicly available. I mean, oh wait, is he calling me back? Is this? Wait. What's going on here? Did I hit a number? I just hold on. I hit the wrong number. I don't know whose number I'm calling. I just called someone. I don't even know who I'm calling. Hold on. Oh yeah. Well, at least I was just calling my pizza place. I hit the number again. It redialed. At least there was no one that's going to be embarrassing. Am I wearing a polo? No, I'm not wearing a polo tonight. No. This is a dress shirt. No polo. Oh, actually, no, I do. You're right. I do. I got this. I threw it in the bag. I threw this polo in the bag. You're right. I am wearing a polo. It's over here. Sorry. I'm wearing a polo. I got a polo in the bag. I did. I stuck it in the bag. I forgot. I know, right? Artie did call JFK back. Polo in the bag. All right, I think I'm going to call it a night. Well, let's see. Let's see if Bob George. Now, Bob. It's funny because Bob just got back to me. He sent me a text after he didn't respond all day. At 7:30, he says, "I've told JFK I'm not doing his show because of legal reasons. I need to know the setup of your show segment, how long, how the questions will be coming, and from whom. They're going to be coming from me. Not looking to be ambushed, and I have to be careful of McCowan's post-conviction issues. Please let me know. I'm still in my car on my way home." I mean, I think we're just going to do it another time. If he's willing to come on, we'll try to reschedule with him. At this point, I'm just ready to call it a night. You know? Oh, I left my own number, didn't I? Yeah, that's true. Now you guys don't know my number. Yeah, I have eye issues. I'm going for a cataract surgery. I can't see out of one of my eyes at all. Yeah, you heard my number. You didn't hear his number though. Let's all call Mike. Don't call me. All right, I think that wraps it up. I want to thank the super chats tonight. LaFerio, thank you so much for kicking in tonight. Amazing. Definitely makes it worth doing the show tonight. Shannon, thank you for becoming a new member. And thank you for buying some new memberships tonight. Shannon, you rule too. I also had a Venmo from Mary Malaki, who also offered us to help out accessing some old articles on the Worthington case. So thank you so much, Mary Malarkey, for also sending over a Venmo tonight. and an offer of help. I really appreciate that, Mary. You rule. I think that's it. I think we're good. Any other questions? I'm not on mute again. I muted myself twice tonight. I got so frustrated tonight about this Bob George situation. I was like, come on. Well, at least I gave out my number on a show that there weren't 10,000 people watching. Are there any updates on Kelsey? No. I mean, there's been a SJC filing by the defense. They're waiting for a response. There's like 10 days. They have 10 days to respond. So we're just waiting for that. And then the SJC is going to make a ruling. And one thing is that usually with this response period, so like the defense does their filing, the prosecution files their response, and then the defense most times will respond again. I know about this with my civil trial, but Bradel has waived that. They're not even going to respond to the prosecution. It seems like they feel like it's so much in the bag for them that they just want to speed this up and get her out as soon as possible. That's my take on it. So hopefully they're right. Hopefully it works. Hopefully she gets out before Christmas here, in the next 10 days. November 25th is the next court hearing. I'll be there. I will be there. You can count on that. And Karen Reed has a civil trial hearing next Friday. So 1 week from today, we're going to be watching during the day Karen Reed civil trial hearing. So I'm looking forward to that next Friday as well. This is a weird comment from Colleen. Colleen says, Robert, this is the stuff like some of you don't know when to just cool, be like chill. Like she says, Robert George is an attorney. Don't you know that? I think we must have said that he was an attorney like 15 times tonight. I think it's like titled, right? The title of the video is Defense Attorney. Defense Attorney. That's the first. So, Colleen, you're already off. I think we all know that because it's in the title of the video tonight. Defense Attorney Robert George. That's what it says. So I think we know that. I think everybody knows that. Anybody watching this video knows that, Colleen. She says he was Eddie O'Brien's attorney in 1995. No wonder why he won't come on. He's a disgrace. And Mike should be ashamed to have him on the show. Number one, when I invited him, I had no idea about any of that, what you're alleging. And number two, you're hearing it from one person. JFK wants to have this guy on his show. I want to have him on my show to talk about this other case. Why would I be ashamed to have someone on the show to defend themselves? And I'm not even having him come on to talk about Eddie O'Brien. I want to see him on JFK's show to defend himself. And JFK wants him on. Should JFK be ashamed because he invited this lawyer on? No. Some of you need to just. I don't get that comment. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. The title of the show says Defense Attorney. So I don't know. Yeah. Shame for what? For asking questions? She said she was responding to one of my chats. I don't know which chat. I don't know what you're. But you said I should be ashamed. I mean, we'll ignore that part of it. You said I should be ashamed for having him on my show, for inviting him on my show. Number one, I didn't even know about that when I invited him on the show. Number two, JFK wants him on the show too because he wants to hear his side. Like JFK should not be ashamed by inviting this guy on the show. You know? That's how you find out the truth. It's like, should JFK be ashamed of having some of the people he's had on the show that might no. Like this is how you find out things, right? Like, yeah. What's up with people telling us what to do all the time too? You want a link tonight? I'll just throw the link because I was gonna go, but if anyone does want to call in, especially Unforgettable, I'll just throw it in the chat. That'll be the easiest way to do it. Here's another one. Colleen, you're telling me to do my research. You didn't do your research. You were wrong on your post like 5 different times. So you should do your research. She says, you should have known, do your research. What do you mean? I wasn't even looking at the Eddie O'Brien case. The only reason I found out about Eddie O'Brien is JFK. I'm watching JFK. I wouldn't know anything about any of that until I watched it on the JFK show. She said JFK should not be ashamed. He is revealing the corruption in the Eddie O'Brien case. So in that case, I would love it. I mean, you know what, Colleen, you can pound sand. You know, I love JFK. I support JFK. Like you're getting weird. You are getting freaking weird. And I bet JFK would think you're weird too, actually. He's my boy. Unforgettable. How you doing tonight?
Hello, Mike Crawford, Money Making Mike. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, except dealing with like, I don't know, clowns in the chat all the time.
Colleen? Colleen needs to shut the fuck up and kick rocks with fucking sandals. First of all, this is your channel. First of all, people have right to agree to disagree. But if you're going to come on somebody else's channel and tell them that they should be ashamed of themselves for bringing somebody on the channel that she disagrees with, hello, Colleen, I should fucking pound you on the head. That's what journalists do. They talk to both sides. You fucking moron. You can't be this ignorant. I swear to you, some of these people have no lives. They come into these fucking chats. Since I showed up to this fucking chat this morning, well, not this morning, earlier, sorry. I'm thinking of this morning still. That's lack of sleep, Mike. But since I've been on the chat since before you started the show, fucking trolls are on here talking shit. Listen, trolls, this goes out to every motherfucker that's here lurking. I find it fucking disturbing and fucking weird that you dislike a person, but yet you're fucking dick riding them on their fucking channel. What the fuck do you get out of it? This is my understanding. Like, listen, if I dislike somebody, I don't waste any fucking energy on nobody's fucking channel or fucking interacting with them. Where the fuck do I get with that from? You know what I'm saying? What am I getting out of it? What is the personal gain? Oh, ha ha, I gotta fucking laugh. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's just some fucking teenager shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't like, I really, really find that shit disturbing. When I'm at JFK's channel too, plenty of fucking people lurking, talking shit. Like, what are they getting out of it? I still don't fucking get it. What are they getting out of it? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. I personally,
especially that lady that was posting that shit too, because it's like JFK and I are cool. Like,
exactly.
Why do people try to split people? And why do they like? There's not an issue between JFK and I. It'd be one thing if JFK and I had some beef, but like I was trying to help get George on his show. Like, that's what I wanted. I want to see it. I want to see that.
Because, Mike, the problem is a lot of people feed off of this motherfucking drama. They like that shit. The more drama they could see, the better. It's a fucking high for them. Some people don't need to do drugs to be like high. This is some of these people, this is their high, literally. You understand where I'm coming from? And
yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
If I don't like somebody, Mike, if I clearly don't like somebody, I mean, I've been as real as they come when it came to the movement with people. I've been as real as they come when it came to interacting with any of the fucking creators and people and followers and everything else. Because I'm very upfront. I have no fucking hair on my tongue. You understand? And clearly, if I dislike somebody, I won't even waste a minute of my fucking day trying to see what that person is doing, what's going on in their lives. Clearly, they care about you that much. You feel me? Clearly, you're that important to them. That's the way I feel about that shit. If you don't care about somebody, shut the fuck up. Don't talk about them or nothing. Because if you say you're contradicting yourself, I don't give a fuck about this person, but yet you're fucking with them all the fucking time. It's fucking getting annoying already. Like literally, that's just the way I see that shit. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
true.
I think it's fucking wrong. I think that an adult, because most of these people are fucking adults. It's fucking embarrassing to say
And
the
they're
least.
old. They're not even young people. Like I could see if someone's like 20 or 30, but most
Yeah,
of
like
these
a youth
people are
or
older than
something.
me. They're older than me. They're boomers. Come on. When
Yeah,
are
it's
you gonna
fucking
get your
ridiculous.
shit together, people? That's what I
Yeah, like
say.
kick
Like,
rocks with fucking flip flops, motherfucker. Like it's the fucking winter time. Like this is the holiday season. People fucking lighten up. Do something with yourself. You know what? Some people need to do some like digging within themselves and see why they go out here and fucking live this miserable. They need to dig because the misery comes from them. It's within them. You feel me? The misery comes within them. It comes from nobody else. And then since
totally.
they're miserable, everybody else around them needs to be miserable. That's just the way it works in people's books. They feel like, okay, I'm gonna be miserable, then the next person should be miserable. No, motherfucker, take that shit elsewhere the fuck over there. Don't bring that shit over here. You feel me? It's the
Yeah, I
holiday
do.
season. Fucking people are annoying. Every time, listen, I swear to you, some of these chats, I wish I was a fucking mod because I tell you, I won't even give them a second. Soon as I see their name with something weird, bye, goodbye, goodbye. Blocking the motherfuckers. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. That's just the way I feel. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the chat if I'm cursing up a storm. I apologize, Mike. I don't mean to
You
fucking go on a
came in
rant today.
hot. I like it though. I like it. I
Well,
like when
it's because it's
I like
fucking
a strong
annoying.
woman. Yeah, it
It's
is
fucking
annoying.
annoying.
It
Like
is
for real.
annoying.
Like I don't
Especially
people
that
don't.
one, because I know that they're supporting JFK, and JFK is my boy. It's like, why are you trying to start drama between us?
But how is it okay that you don't? How is it okay that JFK can have the guy on his show, but you can't? What the fuck is the
I know,
difference, bro?
I know, I know,
Like
and
what
especially
is
to
going
talk
on?
about a totally different case.
Correct. You made that clear from the jump. When you said you were going to bring that guy, because I've been watching all the creators and everything, you said clearly that you were going to talk about the Christa case. You was not going to talk about the O'Brien case, that was for JFK to take care of. At some point, you would, down the line, if he wanted to come on your show after JFK did his thing,
Yeah,
which I think is the loyal thing to do, which that's
totally.
exactly what you're doing.
And not
You
just
feel
loyal, it's right for me too, because I
me?
don't know
Yeah.
enough. Like I haven't watched every single JFK show. I've watched some of them. I love what he's doing. And like if I'm gonna do it actually, I would have JFK on here first. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm basically what I'm saying on Eddie stuff is like I want to let JFK talk to everyone first. And then
Yeah.
maybe after he's done talking to everyone, he come on my show, we'll talk about it a little bit. And maybe I'll hit up some of the guests he already had on. Like but this is his thing. Like I
Yeah.
watched him do this. I love it.
I'm
I
proud
love
of
what he's
them. I'm
doing.
proud of them,
Yeah,
Mike.
me
I'm so
too.
fucking
Me
proud of
too.
them. I'm so proud of the JFK show.
Me
James and
too.
Kevy Kev. I am so proud of them. You know what? They have pivoted. Remember, I went on the show twice. Me and Chimmy were like, you know what? Pivot from this fucking drama and all this
Yeah,
bullshit. Move on. Keep on doing what you're doing. Start bringing cases up to light. Do what you do. And that's exactly what JFK did. And he's been thriving. And people may not see it. And some people are butthurt, but he is thriving, even though he doesn't have to have thousands and thousands of followers, or you either. The people that matter is what's important. They're there in your channel. You feel me? That's the
I
way I
do.
feel. It's not about the followers and how many, what's funny? People complain about how many followers you guys have, but there's thousands and thousands of views. It says a lot about them. You feel me? You're complaining about followers, yet you're on his channel looking. So, okay, explain that shit to me. You feel me? Like, so at the end of the day, I'm proud of JFK. I'm just gonna be straightforward. I'm proud of you. You know why? Because you're gonna keep moving forward regardless of the fucking backlash or whatever the fuck's going on. I watch
Totally.
from behind the scenes, and I watch, everything that goes down on Twitter and all that bullshit. I just watch from the background and I'm like, this is fucking petty as fuck at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But you know what? You know how you beat these motherfuckers? And I learned this the hard way because I'm a fucking Puerto Rican. I get heated and I used to go 0 to fucking prison. Like I can go 0 to prison. So, I learned to fucking disregard these motherfuckers that I have no idea who the fuck they are behind a screen. And you know what? At the end of the day, if you come to see celebrities, take that into account. Celebrities deal with the negative and the positive. That comes with the job. You feel me?
I'm used
And
to it.
that's all.
I'm
Yeah,
totally
you
used to
use
it at this point.
exactly.
I
Move
like that's the
forward.
thing. These trolls are throwing everything they can at me, and I just laugh. Like I'm just like, you think that's gonna like bother me or stop me at all? Like any of that?
Yeah.
Like, and the stuff they're coming up with is so lame because they don't have anything. Like they've been trying to get me off the Howie Carr radio network and all that shit. Tomorrow's my last show. Like you can't cancel me. It's already over, folks. Like they've been, and it's like, and the bottom line too is they're trying to cancel me on something that I wouldn't be upset if it ended. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot for me. My whole life is upended tomorrow to get to that show and back. My girlfriend's freaking out because she doesn't have enough support with the dogs and the other business we have tomorrow. Like for me, I'm just doing that because I want to bring these guests and these stories on a larger platform and get it all, 40 radio stations. But for me, like I'm not going to be a full-time radio host on Howie Carr Radio Network. Like it's not. This is just something. The reason I'm doing the other reason I'm doing it
too. Like it is what it is. Like people are crazy. People have lost their fucking mind. Like he's trying to get a job there.
Yeah. I'm not. And the thing is, I also like Howie and the whole crew there, and it's helping them. It's helping them because they need to fill some slots while she's gone, and she's coming back. Like she's coming back to take over her show. This is it. Tomorrow's my last show. And they're still going on. They're still trying to cancel me from that show. And it's like, number one, you can't cancel me from that show. And number two, the biggest thing for me is I'm always going to be friends with Howie Carr. And I'm sorry that makes you mad, but there's nothing you can do about that. Howie is always going to like me.
Howie show. So how are they going to get you canceled? What the fuck is wrong with people?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
This is insane. Listen, at the end of the day, you know how you stay winning? Moving forward, doing what you do best. At the end of the day, listen, that's what JFK is doing. That's exactly what you're doing. Just keep it moving forward. Fuck everybody and the rest of the noise. And just keep on pushing forward because you can't satisfy and make everybody happy. That's just the way it works in life. All you got to think about is your happiness. You. What matters to you and your family. That's what matters at this point. Fuck everybody else and the extra noise.
Bring up this comment because I do. I want us to respond to Colleen again because she's still going off. And I just feel like it's good to respond to this because why would you bring on a fraud attorney to talk about the Worthington case? Number one.
All right, Colleen. Why go ask JFK? Why would he bring him on his show? What difference would it make? Please explain to me, Colleen. Please do. I'm waiting. I'm all ears.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like, I don't know what she's basing the fraud on. Basically, the guy got caught doing money laundering. Someone that does money laundering doesn't mean they're a liar. It just means that they tried to wash some cash. They got greedy. That's really what it was. The guy got greedy. So I don't know where you come up with fraud because money laundering isn't really fraud. It's being greedy. It's basically taking money, some shady money, and laundering it.
Maybe she's referring to fraud attorney because I just read it now. It says fraud attorney because I'm going to see this as I read it. I think what she means probably is because he ended up being like kind of like a fraud to the O'Brien family. You feel me? Like
so that's a one-sided story, and I'm not discounting or saying Ed's not truthful. But this is, Colleen, this is why I'm a professional journalist and you're not. Because what we do as journalists, we look for primary documentation. So we've seen no primary documentation from Ed. I don't know if JFK has. He probably has much more information than I do on it. But I want to know, Colleen, do you have any first-hand documentation from Ed to prove that this guy's a fraud? Or are you just basing it on his statement? Because if you are, that's not journalism. You basically have to weigh both sides. You have to hear from both sides, and you have to look at primary documentation. So, and that's what JFK, and that's what JFK does so masterfully. He lets these people get on his show, tell their stories, and then he picks it apart. And that's how you determine who's truthful a lot, is you let them speak and you measure it up against reality and truthfulness, against other people's conversations. That's what he's been doing. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's journalism. JFK is actually doing journalism, Colleen. I want to know, Colleen, how many journalism awards have you won? I got 2 of them right there. I got paid to be a journalist. I was a print journalist for over 10 years. I broke one of the biggest stories in cannabis probably over the last 20 years, the death of Lona McMurray, that went national, that changed the way that OSHA operates on the federal government level, that changed the way the DPH operates in Massachusetts, that changed the way the Cannabis Control Commission operates. In fact, the Cannabis Control chair that lost her job because she supported my journalism, she got her job back. And she just called me this week. And she's coming back on the show because of my journalism. And you know what she used to do before that? She was the Massachusetts treasurer of Massachusetts. She cleaned up the treasury in Massachusetts. Like, these are serious people that respect my journalism and know what I do. I don't want to know what your journalism bona fides are. Who backs you, Colleen, in journalism? Because a lot of
No, my
these people that
question is,
speak this shit, I don't think they have any journalism experience. I don't think you know how to figure out if someone's telling the truth. The way you find out is you let them speak and then you compare what they said to reality, to the receipts.
my
Go
question
ahead.
is, does she feel like this about newscasts that they interact with even killers, psychopaths? They see all sides and they talk to all sides of the people and parties involved. Does she feel the same way with you, or is it just because it's Mike? That's it.
I know, right?
You know, yeah. Is it, Colleen? Be honest with yourself. Is it because it's just Mike? Just being real here. I'm asking you like a serious question, serious inquiry here. Like, is it because it's just Mike? Because at the end of the day, JFK planned on bringing him on the show. So why didn't you feel some type of way when JFK was going to bring him on his show? Why do you feeling some type of way because Mike is doing it? I don't fucking get it. You can't be a hypocrite. You can't. You can't see things like one way for one person, and that's kind of like bias. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
For real. Straight up.
Yeah. I know.
It's because it's Mike. That's it. That's the reason. It's nothing else, Mike.
Yeah. And exactly. I am an award-winning journalist. There you go. I got two of them. Yeah. Two of them right there. You
Show
see
them
them?
off,
One's
Mike.
what?
Show them off, Mike. Show them off for the camera.
I haven't shown them off enough lately, but yeah, you've seen them.
Bring them to the camera.
I beat the Boston Globe. You know? And they had a good journalist covering the cannabis beat, but I won that award over them. And that exactly. You know, the best thing he did is have Artie on his show, right?
Yep. He was on that show, and JFK was seeing all aspects of it. He saw the Eddie's family. He spoke to Gina, the neighbor. He spoke to the people that everybody thinks is guilty, which is Artie. You know, he's speaking to all sides. That's what journalists do and reporters do. That's just the way it fucking works. And you may not agree with it, Colleen, but that's just the way it works. But clearly, from what she keeps on saying that you pull on the screen, it's because it's Mike. That's all. She has a problem with you, Mike. It's personal.
I think she has a problem with his attorney, but I mean, I don't know why she took it out on me, you know? And especially knowing that this attorney has a lot of information on this case I'm covering, which, you know, about these guys. The guy I just called, Sean Mulvey. You know, and we don't have all the videos from the trial, so we can't watch. We watched the whole trial. The next best thing is to have the defense attorney that defended him. You know, that obviously that's the person that would be most valuable on this.
Correct. You have to see what's more valuable to the story you're speaking about, and obviously, all players that are involved will be great to bring up. It doesn't matter if people disagree with you. That's just the way it goes, and you can't see things one-sided. You just cannot. Like I commend.
You gotta hear both sides. You gotta hear both sides.
You gotta hear all sides, everybody's side. Because look at, I'll give you a perfect example. When we were on the JFK show, and I'm guilty of this, I'm just gonna be straightforward. Like I was listening to fucking Artie, and he was pissing me the fuck off. And I was just listening in, and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker, he's a shady ass motherfucker. So I'm like, this motherfucker fucking. He was probably fucking being nasty with little kids and shit like that. Because let me tell you something, like I said on the JFK show, like I grew up with a Latina family. Like, you know, my family's Latino. We're Puerto Ricans. And growing up with a Latino family, like they see, you know, an older guy trying to hang out with the younger kids. That's a fucking red flag immediately. Immediately. And our parents tell us to start staying away from the motherfuckers. Because you know, he's acting shady as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Now, but then you know, we heard his side of the story. Then we heard Gina. And we heard the cellmate, his old cellmate. We heard the O'Briens. We heard the sister. So we started seeing all fucking aspects. Now, then I had to I was mind blown when I started hearing all aspects, especially when the O'Brien spoke and Jeannie. I was mind blown with this situation because I'm like, okay, it's a possibility it wasn't only Artie involved, but there's other players here involved. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I was guilty of that.
A couple different people.
Yeah. So because you have to look at it like an equation, right? With the Ed O'Brien case, you know, they're talking about, you know, Paul Jr. was, you know, he was violent towards his mother because he was dating men at the age of 16, grown ass men at that. Fucking, those are fucking groomers in my fucking eyes. Fucking disgusting. But, you know, and, you know, So Paul Jr. was dating older groomers, yeah, because that's what the fuck they are, you know. And then we have Artie that's acting weird about the fucking keys. You know what I'm saying? Then we have Carrie that's fucking weird with the mother. She fucking disappears. So like you have to see it from all aspects. So my mind was fucking blown. I was like, but wait a minute. If she was sexually assaulted, I don't see the son doing that. But I mean, we've seen crazier shit in life, so we never know. You know what I'm saying? So like there's all the aspects. So I was guilty of that. I was like, wait a minute, Artie. I still have in the back of my mind that Artie had to do with it, but that's my own opinion, and to each their own. But at the end of the day, where it comes down to is we have to listen to everybody's side when it comes to journalism, because it makes a big difference. And we can make our own opinions, depending on what
And you
we're
never
hearing.
know. You never know what documentation they might have to back it up.
Correct.
You know?
We don't know what yeah, exactly. What evidence they have to back it up, what they're saying, and all this stuff. Exactly. So, people need to, like, I think, honestly, Mike, I think it's because it's you, and a lot of people are angry at you, to be honest. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. And, if people want to come in here trying to clown your show or troll on your show, shout out to your mods. They were on top of it, fucking booting them the fuck out, but at the end of the
That
day,
was
just
me. That was
yeah,
actually, I did it myself, actually. Not
really,
Colleen, but some other people today. But I didn't even boot them out. I gave them the 24-hour timeout. I love that. I just love doing you can't comment for 24 hours. Maybe tomorrow you won't be an asshole. I give people, I just, that's the way I am right now. It's nice to have that option where you don't have to kick them out completely. You give them a couple shots at it.
well, it's also nice to know that they're in the behind the scenes, probably blowing a fuse, mad at you, looking at you still on there.
Well, they
We
they
gotta
took
keep it
their
real.
shot. They took their shot. It was pretty weak, actually, about
Thank
like
you,
numbers and
Orthodox. I
shit.
appreciate you, baby girl. I love these people. Listen, I've grown, like, I've met so many good people on these chats. This has been great, like on your chats and JFK's chats, and multiple chats, multiple creators platforms. I've met great people. You know what I'm saying? This is great. Like, Mike, just keep doing you. Forget the fucking background noise. You're gonna get hate. You're gonna get people that don't like you. You're gonna get people that do like you. At the end of the day, what matters is what makes you happy. Forget about the rest. Don't even blow a fuse. Don't fucking burn your brain cells over fucking people that really don't matter. Because at the end of the day, these are people that you don't even fucking know. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And the thing about me is I am happy. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever been doing so good. The only shit that brings me down is that stupid lawsuit, how much money it's costing me. That's it. Beyond that, like, I count my blessings every day because I have had struggles in the past a long time ago. And I've had over, like, I'd say 10 plus, probably 15 years of, like, I had like a decade of hell. And then
Yeah.
like the last 10, 15 years has been the opposite. It's like the pendulum went way over here, hell. And now the
Yeah.
pendulum's come all the way up here where like I just pinch myself now every day. I'm just like, I
You know what
can't
you do,
believe
Mike?
I'm here.
You know what you do? I'm gonna give you advice from a sincere person. Don't ever let your enemies on your public platform know anything you're going through, regardless if it's negative or positive. Meaning, like, especially the negative, because you'll give them ammunition to keep fucking with you. Don't give them that ammunition. Don't even bring up none of that
That's
shit.
the thing though, that none of it bothers me though. You've seen me. And none of
Yeah,
this shit bothers me. Like that's the
yeah,
thing. Like I am not an actor. I've never been good at acting. JFK, that's when we met when we were
yeah.
acting in a movie and he called her out right away. I've never been in acting. But I don't need to act on this because none of this is bothering me. Like I feel
Yeah.
like everyone else is fucking like, oh, like on both
As it
sides.
shouldn't.
Like
As it shouldn't.
even my supporters. And I'm like, relax. My life has never been fucking better. And nothing's
That's all you
changing
gotta
on
do.
that. Like, do you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, none of this affects me. It
You know
doesn't.
why? You know why it's like that? Because
I'm in
you'll
such a
finally
good
understood.
place. I've
You
made sure
understood.
that no one can affect my life. Like in the past, I worked for people and I'd have worries like that. I don't have any worries. That nobody can cancel me. Like that's the beautiful thing. I'm always going to have 50 or 100 people. That's enough. If I have
Yeah.
1,000, 10,000, like I used to, that's even better. But it's enough. Like for me, nobody can cancel me. None of this bothers me. That is the truth. Like, just for people that think any of this is bothering me, none of it does. None of it does. And mostly, it's for me, when I was blocking a lot of people and responding, that's why I block people, because I'm like, you know what? The problem for me is I don't want to be responding. I don't feel like I have to respond to people. And if they're just going to post shit, I'm just
You don't
blocking
need
them.
to
So
put
I
in
don't
energy
respond.
into that.
That's it.
You don't
That's
need
the
to
only thing I
put-
was worried about. It's like, I want to make sure I'm not spending too much time on these trolls. Every once in a while, like yesterday, I woke up and I said, fuck them. I got an hour. Fuck it. Hey, I was just like, and then after I was like, I probably shouldn't have done that, but fuck it. Like, cause you know what? For 2 weeks, you guys have come after me. I said nothing. So, you know, if I want to push back on a couple trolls, hey, it's like hitting the bag a couple for an hour. It just feels good sometimes. It feels good to whack them back and say, you know what, you guys are fucking fools. And number two, none of this bothers me. I'm looking at my stock market portfolio and saying, holy fuck, how right am I? How good is my life? Everything I fucking pull, every lever I pull, fucking money. That's what's been happening in my life for like the last 15 years. After struggling, I filed for bankruptcy, people. I was rich in my 30s, lost everything in my 40s. Everything. I am doing so fucking good. Everything I like. Remember at the JFK party?
Yeah,
Who won the raffle?
you did.
I fucking always win. I'm telling you, like, I have a fucking lucky horseshoe up my ass lately. I swear to God, for the last 10 years, I knew I was going to win that. I predicted I was going to win that. That's how my life is now. I fucking say something's going to happen, it fucking happens.
Yep.
So the trolls, I'm sorry. All you do is feed me. Like you said earlier, when they're all focused on me, I laugh my ass off because I must be pretty damn important.
Yep. It becomes a fan base at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's ignorant. And you know what? At the end of the day, that shit, like, you know what? It's because you finally understood that nobody's opinion and their bullshit matters. That what matters is you and your family and your inner circle, which is your girlfriend and everybody that you have close to you. That's what matters. You know?
And a community. I have so many, like, you know, I brought up Rob Patillo the other night, Robbie Roadsteamer. Do you know how many friends I have like that out there that love me and respect me, that like they have their own successes and they're doing great? Like, I got that all day. Like, I got a whole community that has like 15, 20 years of experience. Like a guy like JFK. Like, there's a reason we get along. Real sees real, you know, and I have that in my life. I've got a phone book where I need to actually catch up with them. There's a lot of that. Like, you know, I had a police officer last night reach out that I haven't talked to in a long time that I grew up with. You know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of people like that in my network, in my life, and none of them are changing their opinion of me. And a lot of these people are very fucking credible. Let's just put it that way.
So that's what matters. That's what matters.
And I know, and what Robbie said on my show the other night. I'm a worker. I get shit done. That's what JFK is. He gets shit done. There's a reason why he's where he's at. Same with me. You know, when I ran the Hemp Fest, it was the best fucking Hemp Fest ever. There was a reason, and it wasn't like because we just got the biggest artists, which we ended up doing, but it was top to bottom. The culture grew. There was like this thing. There was this scene we created. Doesn't exist anymore. When I left, that left. And you ask anyone, any of the artists involved, not the same. They have a bigger budget. They got more people there, but it ain't the same. There's just not the same feeling. And that's what I bring to the table, and I know it. I know my value. I didn't know my value like 20 years ago. I know my value now. So nobody is like talking me out of that. There's no, it's funny because people think they think they're little jabs. Oh, you only have 100 people watching you. It's like, really? I only have 100? That's awesome.
Yeah. You're appreciative of those 100. That's the problem.
How many do you think you would have watching you if you went live right now on YouTube? You know, like.
No, I don't know about me. I don't know about me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have fans.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the trolls.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying I don't even know if I would have not even 5 people watching.
Oh, people like you now. They know you, so I think you would have 5 people watching. But the trolls wouldn't have 5 people.
I'll be happy with 5 people.
So it's just funny.
But Mike, keep on moving forward. Just forget the fucking extra noise. This was great. Listen, it was not your fault that this guy didn't show up. It's fine. Your followers understand. Shit happens, you know. It's not your fault. This happens in the daily world all the time. And at the end of the day, he didn't show up. You came up with some last minute content, showed us some shit. We shoot the shits in the chat. Everybody enjoyed themselves, and that's what matters.
I want to thank you for calling in and
Thank you.
throwing it
Thank you for giving me
down.
a little platform for having a little rant. I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? What, for
Because I
what?
had a little rant. I came in with fire. Like I was like, damn, I didn't mean to come in like that. It just pisses me off. Like I'm so tired of it, bro. Fucking people.
I feel the
bro.
same way though. You heard me. I'm kind of going on a rant there about it, you know? So I feel the same way.
I didn't mean to egg you on into a rant. I'm sorry.
Nah, you know what's fine.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice being here on the platform, Mike. Continue to do what you do and move forward. Keep on moving forward. Forget the rest of the noise and let's just keep it moving.
Totally.
All right,
Thank
Mike.
you so much.
Thank you,
The
Mike.
unforgettable. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. See, that's the thing, Joseph. I don't set goals that I can't achieve. Like that's too much. That's I know, right? Like that's funny. That is funny. But that's like, and I'm not a get rich quick guy. You know, I focus on things that I know I can make happen. Maybe I should play the lottery though. Maybe I should. I swear to God, you know, it was funny. Some troll was bagging me about doing the stock market show. So I pulled up my stock market show from January 3rd of this year, and I just went through the stocks, and like every single one was a huge winner. Like Facebook, I think was the only one that was only like up 8%, and that's one you should be buying right now. I would be buying Meta right now. And a bunch of stocks went down today. I would start buying people again. Today was a good day to buy. I bought a lot of stocks today. Well, what did you diversify into? I want to hear what you're diversifying into. I'm just reading the chat now. Yeah, actually, too. If anyone wants to call in, I will take like one or two calls. If any, especially the people that had some criticism, I'll have you on. Oh, Nvidia, buy it. I'd buy Nvidia, especially today. Today was a good day to buy some Nvidia. Buy it. Buy that Nvidia. When you see it go down, buy it. I'm reading the chat, seeing if there's any other turbulence out here. And am I missing anything? Is everything cool right now? Yeah, I'm looking to see if anyone wants to come up. Don't say I didn't give you an opportunity to speak your mind. It looks like the lawyer might actually come on here. He sent me a text at 7:30 and basically said, I need to know who's going to be on the show, who's asking questions, what the topics are going to be. So maybe he'll come on. Yeah, a lot of people they do hide behind the keyboard. Who's Jason? Is there a Jason here that wants to come up? I'm waiting. Who's Is everyone saying go on, Jason? Who's Jason? Which is there a Jason in the chat talking some shit? What's going on? I don't see him. You can come on audio only. You don't have to turn on your camera. That's exactly it. When Robert George is on, there's only one person asking the questions. It's me. Someone talks shit and now they're hiding, and everyone wants them to come on. I'll post it one more time. Come on. Let's see. Let's see what you got tonight. Yeah, lottery is mostly wasted money. That's why I don't play it. That's the reason I don't do the lottery. You got to get the odds in your favor. Stock market. That's what if I have extra money, it goes into stocks over buying lottery tickets. What did I just do? I just did something weird. Oh, they left. What were they saying? Jean from Dorchester, I still talk to her. She's gonna come on the show eventually. Trust me. When Jean comes on, it's gonna be a fun episode with Jean. She's gonna have a lot to say. Trust me on that one. And basically, she's not gonna come on until Aiden's case is dismissed. When Aiden's case is dismissed, then Jean will be free to come up. And that's the thing. If I have someone call in that doesn't agree with me, I will be nice. I'm not like I'm respectful. I'm respectful to people when they come on the platform. If they're respectful back, if they decide to get nasty with me, that's a little different. And then they might get some. Oh, you couldn't get it to work? Yeah, there's been StreamYard's getting weird too. I gotta say, like we had Jesus on the other night. He was having some audio issues, and then he wrote me a little like private chat about it. And StreamYard used to be so simple, and now they're adding all this extra shit, and it just makes it more complicated for people. It's nice to have the options and things, but I don't like it because I don't dive into the production and all that. I don't have a fancy show. I'm not trying to have a fancy show. I don't even have an intro. Am I buying gold? No, I'm not. I probably should have bought some gold. That was probably one of my only losers is I bought gold stocks instead of gold itself. Don't buy gold stocks. Better buy gold itself. But I actually do have some ETF gold where it's like, they buy gold itself for you, but I guess I buy crypto, instead of gold, I bought in crypto. Crypto is a lot of Bitcoin. But for me, I just like the growth stocks. I like the big companies that I knew were going to make money. The Nvidias have a lot of that, have a lot of Meta. MU is now my Micron Technology is now my number one holding because it's grown so much. But I have a lot of those big tech companies that are going to do well in the AI. And then I have some of those new ones like CoreWeave and Nebius, AMD. I own a lot of AMD. But I like Nvidia better than AMD, actually. But I own it. The AMD is definitely a top 10 holding of mine. I also own Google, a lot of Google, Alphabet, the usual ones you think of. Oracle, that's another big one of mine. Pretty much all the ones I showed you in January 3rd. Someone says gold is best. Not historically. I mean, sometimes it goes, depending on when you own it, sometimes it loses. It's doing well now. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if you compare gold to Bitcoin over the last 10 years. I bet Bitcoin did a lot better. I don't know that for a fact. I'd have to look at the charts, but I'm thinking Bitcoin did better than gold over the last 10 years. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. I got my girl a diamond. She's got the diamond ring. Yeah, Bitcoin did better. Exactly. There you go. Those are all winners. AMD, Meta, Nvidia. That's a good investment portfolio. I mean, you should probably diversify more than that, but hey, those are 3 good stocks, 3 good companies. Jason's back again. Who is this Jason guy that I don't see? Everyone's talking about Jason. Jason, here's the link. Call up. Be brave. Let's have a conversation. I don't know what you're mad about. No idea. I'm trying to read I'm trying to find your posts because everyone keeps talking about you in here. And oh, here he is. Mike, are you buying gold? Oh, that wasn't a troll. Is that the guy they're talking about? He's not trolling. Oh, so you guys you want Jason to talk gold with me. Oh, see, I thought he was trolling. You guys want more stock advice. That's funny. Oh, I get it now, Jason. See, I didn't know. I think, Jason, what it is people actually want us to talk about investments. I thought it was the drama, because that's what happens a lot is people want to have the drama. But apparently investing is just as interesting to people. People like the investing talk. So maybe I need to do another investing show because I didn't realize that many people were interested in it because they were all asking Jason to come up. It's funny. So sorry, Jason. You're not a troll. You're a good guy, actually. You're on topic and you're moving the conversation, and I appreciate you, Jason. If you do want to come up and tell us why we should buy gold, I'll listen to it for a couple minutes. Mostly, I think I'm going to go. I think when I do my investment show, it will have to be planned out like the last one. He was starting shit with Unforgettable for what? Why would anybody start with Unforgettable? Jason was making fun of Unforgettable. He's a troll. He was being nice to me. I didn't see those comments. Why would anyone start with her? I don't know. I don't get that. I love Unforgettable. She's fun. And she says what she means. I like her. I don't know. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. So over the 10-year span, gold rose 150%. And my MU grew 186% in 11 months. So gold 10 years, 150%. MU, Micron Technology, my number one holding right now, 186% return in 11 months. So I'll take that over gold right now. And I'm still holding it. I think Micron's still something worth buying. It's not as attractive as it was in January, obviously, but I'm still holding it. I'm still buying it. I'm still reinvesting the dividends. That's the other thing I like about some of these big tech stocks. Some of them have dividends. Nvidia has a dividend that's so small it almost doesn't matter. But Micron has a pretty good dividend. Meta has a nice dividend too. Google has a nice dividend now too. Yeah, and the other rose like 200%, 200,000% or something like that. He's talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin was way better than gold over the last 10 years. Absolutely, it was. But there's nothing. I always say like there's nothing wrong with owning some gold and silver, especially the coins, because if ever everything blew up and shit the bed, and like our economy crashed, or let's say we had an outage, like one of those solar flares or like a HARP attack and everything got destroyed, gold or silver would still hold up. You'd still have something. So I have no issue with holding some gold or silver, especially the coins, if you hold them yourself. But then you got to secure them. You got to make sure you have a safe. You got to make sure no one knows about it. You got to be careful. And it's a lot. But I don't have any issue with some people doing that. Oh, Jason is MC Gossy G. He does like drama. There's a guy who I sent some private messages to, and he had to post them online. So whatever. He does like drama. He's a drama guy. I'm not really interested in speaking with him on this show. It's just not. Oh, that's the other thing. Save your pennies. I'm the guy who saves all his coins. And every time I get a coin, I look at it and see what year it is. If it's a 71 or below, I put it into a special place and I never spend it. Because like a lot of the coins from the past have silver or copper, real copper in them. So like a penny that has real copper from like 1965 is worth like 3 cents. So I hold on. Those are kind of like precious metals too. The US Mint coins, the older ones, especially like quarters. If you have a quarter from like 1965, if you get it back from the cashier, hold on to that. That's a precious metal. It's got some silver in it. So I hold on to the older coins. I never spend the older coins. Yeah, Buffalo nickels. Sometimes you get them. Cashiers, like I always check. I always check to see what they're giving me. 150% return is not bad over 10 years, but it's not Bitcoin. It's not MU up 186% over 11 months. And the thing I liked about MU is I didn't think there was a lot of risk when I bought it. It's like this company is undervalued. It's a growth stock in the best area, and it's way undervalued. Buy it. That's why I bought MU. You have see that? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you see a wheat penny, you hold on to that baby. So I guess I actually do have some precious metals. Not the traditional kind. I get them from cashiers. You know how much money I find dog walking too? When you're walking dogs, you always find coins on the ground. I'm gonna go. This whole show has gotten sidetracked tonight. It's funny. I want to thank all of our super chatters tonight. MJ, what the duck? Thank you so much. Thank you, Shannon. Shannon loves Connecticut. Especially thank you, Laferio. Huge. Thank you so much tonight. And I want to thank the Unforgettable for calling in. Oh yeah, tomorrow, Tuesday night. That is the next Canton Select Board meeting. We'll be airing it definitely. Tomorrow, Friday, I'll be hosting the Grace Curley Show for the last time. Now they said that I may fill in the future on her vacation days, but I'm really not counting on that, especially with my schedule and all that. It's we'll see what happens. But for all intents and purposes, this is the last scheduled Grace Curley show before she comes back on maternity leave for me. So tomorrow we're going to have an attorney on who's going to talk about Kelsey Fitzsimmons for the first segment. And the second segment, we're going to have attorney Nan Gallagher, and she's going to talk a lot about the Karen Reed civil trial, as well as Proctor's text and all that other good stuff. So I'm going to have two female attorneys on my last show on the Grace Curley Show, and I think that's very appropriate. I love that. I love supporting women, and I especially love educated, professional women. So we're going to have two attorneys on tomorrow on the Grace Curley Show at noon. I hope you watch it. It will be fun. Noon tomorrow, last one. And I'm actually glad. Like one of the trolls said, I can't wait till Grace Curley show. One of the trolls that was trying to get at me said, I can't wait till Grace Curley comes back. And I was like, me freaking too. Because seriously, like, it's a lot for me to do that. I want to do it because I like getting the guests out there, but it's not like something that I really want to be driving back and forth. It's not. It's on someone else's network. It's not my. I don't feel comfortable. You can tell. Like I feel much more comfortable sitting right here than I do in that radio station. And I do it because I don't want to not do something because I'm not comfortable. And especially because I like them. I like Howie. I like the mailroom manager. I like all the producers over there. And they like me and they want to support me and they like the content I deliver. So I do it. But for me, I can't wait till she comes back. Yeah, so I hope to see some of you over there tomorrow, watching on the Facebook or the Rumble. See that's a quarter 1964 is all silver. I don't usually see 1964 ones. I'm sure they're out there, but even like some of the ones in like 1970, I think, and 71, I think that's around the cutoff. Still had some silver in them. I'm not a super coin guy, so I don't even know. But I just keep anything like 70 or below. I keep it because I know that some of them have copper, like the pennies, and so that's my precious metals. You know what? I don't know how Toby's doing. I heard from him recently, maybe a month or two ago. He had some type of he's always doing some type of protest or going to the state house. He's always trying to get me to go, but I'm always working. And plus, I'm not really that much of a gun guy. Let's be serious. I like what Toby does because he's a good guy. And I think he does things the right way. I respect Toby. I'm still reading the chat. This is so funny. Your pennies aren't worth what they cost to print. Well, pennies, like, yeah, it costs like what, 5 cents to create a 1 cent penny or some shit. They're losing money every one they do. So I guess they're getting rid of pennies, but some of the older pennies are worth more than a penny because of the copper in them. So that's why I hold on to the old pennies. So I guess I do have some precious metals. Yeah, they're 3 cents or some shit, right? Oh, did they take his channel down? I didn't know that. I'll find out from him. I didn't know. If they took his channel down, it's not because of Higgins. It's because of the content. YouTube is very strict on content, on a lot of stuff. It's funny. There was a guy who got suspended for a week this week, and everyone's like, "Oh, people reported him." And it's like, I don't know if people realize on YouTube, but they do this for the ads especially, but they do it for all the content. They basically, YouTube sends their AI out on your videos and they basically transcribe them. And that's how they determine whether they put ads on them. And a lot of times, if you have, like tonight, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the Unforgettable was dropping a lot of F-bombs. That sometimes that will kick you out of the advertising for that episode at least. And they'll also censor you sometimes to take down your channel if you're talking about certain subjects. And basically what it is the AI and the transcript raises the red flag and then they do a human review. So that could have definitely happened to Toby. If he's down. I don't even know if he's down. But if he is, that could be the issue. His content is tough for YouTube. And I know all about this because I used to do a lot of cannabis content. I don't think they're as strict about it on YouTube and Facebook anymore, but they were ridiculously strict in the past. And I used to get a lot of videos knocked down. And that's why I think, like my old channel before the Young Jurks, we had monetization. This was like right first when YouTube started. like 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. And because of the cannabis content, they took my monetization away back then. So it's not like someone was sitting there watching my content. It's that YouTube and Google, they transcribe what you say on the show. And if you're saying certain words over and over again that are a red flag for them, then they have someone review it. Yeah, and you the thing is, even back then, you could still cover cannabis, but you had to do it the right way. That was the key. You could smoke on camera, you couldn't encourage the use of it, but you could talk about policy. And that's what I didn't realize until after. They would flag my shows for the ads every time because of the cannabis. But then if I did a review, they would approve it because we were just talking about policy. So there are rules. There are ways you can protect yourself on that. But my show's pretty good. Like we don't usually have much problems at all with the YouTube anymore. They usually approve every single one of our shows because our show's pretty straightforward. I keep saying I'm going to go. This is the longest goodbye ever. Thank you. Aw, you know what? Someone said they hadn't seen the awards. I'm going to show them again. I will get them. All right. These are pretty hefty awards too. They're heavy. They're big. Um, do I have it the right way? Can you see it? Let me take this off, actually. I don't know if I have it the right way. No, I don't. There you go. This was Best Cannabis Podcast 2021 we won. And this is the New England Cannabis Convention. It's the biggest cannabis convention on the East Coast. It's a poll that they run. They basically have a poll for nominations, and then people vote from the public. And these are very competitive. Like, this is like, you would not believe, like, we're up against Leafly, we're up against major podcasts. And for us to win this means a lot. And this was 2018. This was the first award. And what did we win? What does that say? Best news information source. And people say I'm not a journalist. I got voted over the Boston Globe, who had a weekly newsletter column, because I broke so many stories in cannabis. And the biggest one was the death of Lorna McMurray, but there were many other stories I broke in cannabis, specifically cannabis, because I had such a good network of people, and I would just be on that shit. Now, I don't consider myself a journalist like that anymore because I don't write a weekly column. I don't quite do the journalism. I'm just not the same anymore. Mostly I just interview people. But I have those skills. I have that experience. I've done journalism. And I also wrote a weekly column for Dig Boston, weekly print publication for 10 years. And Leafly actually did a huge story on me, on my journalism. It was like a 4-part series. And then they took it down. And the reason they took it down, the journalist that did it was amazing. He was the editor. He was like the king publisher over there at Leafly for their journalism. And it was, he was basically doing this series based on my work. And they took it down, not because there was anything wrong with the journalism, nothing wrong in the journalism, is because their sponsors didn't like it. The people we exposed didn't like it. Leafly caved. So that's how legit our journalism was. High Times covered it. Boston Globe gave me praise for my journalism. Boston Globe, after ignoring us for years and stealing our content and republishing it as their own, finally said, like, Mike Crawford, Young Jurks journalism, right on the mark. Everything they're doing is correct. That was an amazing moment for me when the Boston Globe actually was like, yeah, this guy's right. This guy broke the story on Lorna McMurray. He's been right all along. We ignored him. We ignored the story for the last 5 years. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. A healthy 26-year-old passed away because of terrible work conditions in the air. She basically was allergic to all the particles in the air. They wouldn't do anything about it. She collapsed twice, got taken out in an ambulance out of work twice. Second time, she didn't make it home. And basically, that story was predicted on our show. I had written this story about moldy weed. It was pretty much the first story ever written about mold and weed and cannabis in Massachusetts in the legal market. Now that's very common. Everyone knows about it. I was the first one talking about it. I took a lot of shit from my own cannabis community because we had just legalized, and now I'm talking shit about how how it's got mold and it's making workers sick. And all the workers came on my show. And the workers predicted. The workers came on my show and said, somebody's going to die. Somebody's going to die at one of these cultivation sites. And they all ignored us for 5 years. DPH, Cannabis Control, OSHA. These people had all these complaints. They had all the information. They had all the issues that they were having, the hives and how people needed inhalers. As soon as they started working at these places, they needed inhalers. They needed full masks. They stuck paper towels up their noses. And these are young people. And they're coming to my show and they're exposing it. And some of the cultivation sites are firing them for coming on my show. And then the unions got involved. And they started supporting my show because they knew I was the guy who broke it. And then Lorna McMurray actually did die, the 26-year-old. And it was predicted to happen on my show. And that's one of the reasons why I took a break from a lot of this stuff. Because nothing, like even then, I was so pissed off. Even though we're getting all this coverage from High Times and Leafly and Boston Globe, the Cannabis Control Commission and the state and the AG, they were all ignoring it. They weren't doing anything about it. And the one person who tried to do something about it, the Cannabis Control Commission, they pushed her out. Now she's back. And things are coming, like, it's funny because now things are coming to fruition there, where a lot of the stuff we reported on, the testing fraud, that was another thing I exposed first. Now it's common knowledge. Now the Cannabis Control Commission is actually doing something about it. A lot of those stories, I was the first to report about testing fraud in cannabis. I was the first to report about all the games being played with licenses. I was the first to report about the zoning issues. I was the first to report on the working conditions and that a worker would die. I was the first to break the story of the worker dying, so much so that the Cannabis Control Commissioners found out from my reporting. The Cannabis Control Commission covered it up so much they didn't even tell the people that ran the Cannabis Control Commission it happened. So, yeah. All right, it's time to go. I don't know when I'm going to be back, but I will be back. I hope you all have a great night. Maybe I'll see you this weekend. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do now. Maybe I'll try to get Bob George again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get Bob George on. We'll see. Pretty much. I think when Angie showed up, Angela Chan, I think a few people like played it on their shows and covered it, but I was the first one to say, like, every week I'm covering this. Every week. And we still cover it. Yeah, I'm not giving up Boston B. That's the funniest thing too, when see people say that. Like, you know, I'll say this. My first day, my first week of wrestling, high school wrestling, we were sore as F. Our coach like worked us over big time. And my buddy Pearson, he's a monster. He was a sectional champ, a really good wrestler. One of my best friends growing up, next door neighbor. We were in the nurse's office because we were like getting Bengay and shit or whatever. I don't even know why we were there. I just specifically remember being in the nurse's office. And we were like, hey, this is not fun. Maybe we should quit. We were talking about quitting the first week of wrestling. And this other kid, Dave, came in, who was on the team. And he's like, don't freaking quit. And that's all it took. And like a month or two later, we're like, holy shit, thank God we didn't quit. You know, because we got good at it. Like we hadn't even had a match yet and we were ready to quit. Thank God both of us didn't quit. You know, that's what I always think of. Like when something seems hard, that doesn't mean you should quit. It just means you just gotta make sure you make it to the next day. You gotta just make sure you're gonna be there tomorrow. Because sometimes when something is hard, that's the thing that you should be doing. And I look at myself at my wrestling, my junior year, I was the first day I was not good. The last day I was getting good. You know, that was my first year. I think I won most improved that year. The next year I was most outstanding. You know, you don't give up. You don't give up. I never give up. I've never ever given up on anything. Sometimes that's my problem. Yes, and I'm just Mike. That's it. Like that those awards don't make me either. Like that, you know, just a thing that happened. I'm just saying I have some experience with this stuff. That's the other thing too, is I learned when I was a financial advisor and I was rich and I was riding high in my early 30s. And then I lost everything and I'm mowing lawns. I'm literally mowing lawns and I'm bankrupt and I got a bad back and I got some health issues. I was the same person. Like people treated me different, but I was the same exact person. That's when you realize in life, like a lot of that other shit doesn't matter. How people feel about you, it doesn't matter. I was the same person. And when I was mowing lawns, it was like one of the, you know, going from being up here to being down here. It was one of the most trying times of my life. I lost everything. But at the same time, I was also doing some of the biggest work of my life that would set me up for later. Booking all those shows, doing the Hemp Fests, being creative, being a programmer, meeting all these creative types of people. You know, working with people from WBCN and WAAF and all these artists and journalists. And that's what got me into writing. That's how I became a Dig Boston writer. You know what I mean? So, like, when I was down and out, I kept going. That's what you have to do. You always have to keep going. And you're still the same person, even if people change their mind about you. That doesn't actually matter. It always, you know, the thing is, I always remember too, especially even now, people still look at me this way. It's so funny. Like, so when I was a young kid, there were so many times when kids would think you were weak, and then they'd start a fight with you, and then I'd kick their asses. You know, they don't talk so much shit after you kick their ass. They just don't. Like that's just the way of the world. So many times that's happened to me in my life, even with wrestling. People, I remember this one, my senior year, this kid came in. I did all this in Florida. He was a transfer student. He was going to take my spot. He talked a lot of shit for like 3 weeks. That all ended on the first day of practice. The second day of practice, my coach wouldn't let me wrestle him anymore. My coach is like, "You're not wrestling that kid in practice anymore. I'm afraid of he's going to get hurt." Like, and that kid never talked shit after that. And I never talked shit to him. You know, I like that kid. He's a good kid, actually. And the thing is, no matter how good you are at something, there's always somebody better. Like I said, Dan Gable, greatest wrestler ever, lost a match. I've seen that a lot. No matter how good you are, there could be someone, but even you might be the greatest at something in the world, but on one day, someone could beat you. You may have an off day. They may have just. I've seen that happen so many times. I've seen. I remember the state finals. One of the best state finals I ever saw my senior year was this kid Scarcella beat the kid from North Andover that had beaten him all year long. All year long, he had beaten him. Sullivan, Billy Sullivan, little Billy Sullivan. There were two Billy Sullivans, one from Lowell and one from North Andover. Billy Sullivan lost that match. You know, this kid Scarcella, that one day was better than Sullivan. Even though Sullivan beat him all year. I think Sullivan probably beat him in New England the next week, you know. But on any one day, anything can happen. And it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, when you lose, it's kind of how you respond that's the most important. That's the one thing I learned in life. And I always come back. Like me, I keep the positive attitude because that's the only way I know how to operate. And I just keep going, one step in front of the other. This too shall pass. All right, I'm really out of here now. I'm talking too many platitudes. They're going to clip this and come after me. Which is more promotion for me. I just told your story. I think that's a lot of people's stories, right? Blind spot. I just told your story. I mean, that's it, right? And for me, the big thing too is I always look at like I'm on House Money. I had cancer in my early 20s, bladder cancer. It's one that kills a lot of people. If I hadn't gone to the doctor and gotten checked out when I had that symptoms, I wouldn't be here right now. So I always like bless every day. I'm like, you got a guy for the polos? You See, I don't need to put them in the bag anymore. I can afford to buy them at Marshall's. I go to Marshall's. They got the polos. I got this at Marshall's. Yeah, isn't that bad? There you go. Congrats. Your old job texted me on offer the money I had been looking for a year plus. There you go. You got to believe. I got to say, the one thing about the universe I realized too is when you mentally, and not even mentally, but beyond mentally, you actually put it into the world and start working towards your goals. It doesn't happen in one day, but eventually it happens. It does happen. It's usually like 30 days, a month, a year. Sometimes it's 5 years or 10 years, but it eventually happens. It's like this universe, it watches what you do. I'm convinced that the universe watches what you do. And it just sometimes takes a little while. It's like I always think about pushing the boulder up the hill. Once you stop pushing that boulder up the hill, it might seem really hard at first. And you might have to push that boulder up for 30 days. But after 30 days, that boulder starts rolling downhill. You just got to keep going, day by day by day. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you soon. Peace out. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I love you all. Have a good night.